against Arsenal. Everton will play from left to right in the first half as we look from the main stand, the middle of the main stand. We're wedged in here together with Paul Robinson. Everton attacking towards the Park stand in the first half then. Blue shirts, white shorts and white socks. And Arsenal in their first choice colours too. The red shirts with the white sleeves, white shorts and red socks. And there we go. Arsenal kick off and immediately pass the ball straight back to David Raya, who was standing probably 10 yards out of his penalty area, as we welcome listeners to the BBC's World Service. So there you are, David Raya, first touch.
If that's not a statement of intent of what the manager wants to do and how he wants his team to play with the new goalkeeper in, it was amazing. I pointed to you, didn't I, John? I mean, he was stood halfway in his own half, and immediately from kick-off it went straight back to the goalkeeper.
Well, that clearly was on orders, wasn't it?
They've clearly worked hard on that, and they've been working on it midweek, obviously playing from the back, from the goalkeeper. And you look at him now in his position up the field, he's taken a very, very advanced position outside his box with Arsenal in possession on the halfway line. Yep,
Arsenal playing from right to left with the ball at the back, and David Raya still is standing there 6, 7, 8 yards outside of his penalty area. The ball played to the right hand side for Arsenal. Odegaard. Arsenal unbeaten so far this season. Flick from Nketiah. Odegaard is onto this on the edge of the box. Arsenal coming here having lost their last 3 matches here at Goodison against Everton. But Zinchenko's pass is cut out by Ashley Young on the right as right back, with Mikalenko coming into the team as left back. But Ashley Young's pass forward is intercepted and Arsenal have got the ball back inside their own half. It is with Gabriel now to the left-hand side to Martinelli, Gabriel Martinelli, who came on as a substitute for Brazil in Lima on Wednesday. That's very much the modern world of football. Lima on Wednesday, Goodison Park on Sunday. Here's Zinchenko, started both of Ukraine games. Scored, of course, against Jordan Pickford for Ukraine in Poland. Now Arsenal with it on the left-hand side. Here's Vieira. Martinelli picks out the pass centrally. Everton have hardly had a touch. Zinchenko curls it into the back post, and then McNeil was there actually to come across and head it up and over his own crossbar for an Arsenal corner. Very strong start from Arsenal. Yeah, with 2 minutes in you can pretty much see it, Everton's game plan. They're happy to sacrifice possession. Arsenal have had the majority of the ball since we kicked off. Everton trying with the low block, and then when they break it's the Core's job to try and join Beto. So Bukayo Saka will take the corner from the right-hand side. Bukayo Saka, who hit 30 caps over the course of the last week when he came on as a substitute in Glasgow on Tuesday. Saka backs away now. Arsenal with players grouped at the far post as he looks at it. Left-footed delivery into the near post, which is headed up and away by Tarkowski. Back out, it bounces into the first couple of rows of the Bullens Road stand. Bukayo Saka actually puts his leg right over the advertising hoardings to lean in there and get the ball. So it's a throw-in to Arsenal, which is taken to Odegaard in the full-back positions. The Arsenal supporters that you can hear at the moment in good heart after their start to the season just before the internationals. Remember, they won 3-1 against Manchester United with those thrilling late goals from Declan Rice and Gabriel Jesus, but dropped just the 2 points in the Premier League so far this season. That 2-2 draw against Fulham, and they are dominating the possession. And here is Gabriel just to the left of the centre circle, plays it across to the right hand side to Ben White, then Rice, first time ball to his England teammate Saka on the right hand side, almost on the white line. He begins to cut infield, flick from Nketiah, very nearly found Odegaard on the edge of the box, and Branthwaite was able to get there first, and then a long ball downfield, and immediately, well, there's a little coming together, wasn't there, between Beto and Gabriel, but the ball bounced through to David Raya. Well, immediately Beto's becoming very isolated, isn't he? He's distance from his midfield. Everton are sitting very low, Arsenal having all the possession, and when Everton do win possession back, Jordan Pickford, all he can do is launch the ball downfield, and Arsenal regain possession very, very comfortably. So it is Beto's home debut for Everton. Here's Martinelli as Arsenal come forward down the right-hand side. Young puts in the challenge. We could see it clearly from our angle here. He played it into Martinelli and behind, and referee Hooper correctly gave a goal kick. Started confidently, Arsenal, very, very confidently. They've had 16 players away this last 2 weeks in international duty, and you wonder just how long that the manager gets to work with these players. Like you say, they travel all over the world now midweek,
so he won't have got some of his players back till Thursday, potentially some Friday, coming into the game today. But they've started very sharply.
And actually that's a point with Gabriel Jesus, in that he wasn't originally in the Brazilian squad, but when Anthony was withdrawn for him, Jesus came in and actually came on as a substitute in both matches for Brazil, so on the bench again. But you felt Nketiah deserved to keep his place?
I think it would have been harsh today, but obviously we've seen the manager's not afraid to make harsh decisions in the goalkeeping situation.
Yes, we did have that discussion before we knew what had happened to Ramsdale. That's a very good point. As Zinchenko plays the ball back into the full-back position, and Gabriel then back to David Raya, who is on loan from Brentford, but there is an option to buy for something in the region of £27 million, although intriguingly he did sign a 2-year contract with Brentford before he made the move. As a misplaced pass in centre field, that was a poor one that was straight out of play for a throw-in to Everton, misplaced by Martinelli from centre field. It was 10 yards behind Vieira and out for a throw-in.
I think probably the Raya new contract at Brentford was probably more Brentford saying, if you want to go, we're protecting our asset if we're going to sell you for a decent price in the future.
And I know it was a long time ago, but what was he like, David Raya? Can you remember?
He was good goalkeeper. Obviously he's got to this level, but he showed excellent agility skills.
Here's Beto on the right as well. Might have been tugged back there by Gabriel. That was very promising for Everton's new number 14. I thought he might have, if he'd made more of that, which I know we never encouraged them to do, but he might have got the free kick. Everton have it back and play it all the way back to Jordan Pickford. And I have to say, there is a certain irony here. I know we've mentioned it already. Jordan Pickford and Aaron Ramsdale, who had a little exchange together before the start of this match as the players were warming up. But the fact that you've got Pickford, who is playing at one end, and Aaron Ramsdale, who's sitting on the Arsenal bench down there.
I'm sure Mikel Arteta will bounce off questions after the game, like he did pre-match, by saying, we've got Champions League games coming up, we've got a lot of games coming up, the goalkeepers will play. But he's made a big decision today. He represented his country midweek. He's played every single game from the start of the season, and he's not done anything wrong to suggest that he would be dropped.
So it is Raya who plays, making his Arsenal debut. There'll be a lot... well, we'll see what happens in the match, but I'm sure it'll be a talking point on 606 later with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton. The lines will be open after half-time in this match. That'll be just a truncated edition of 606 tonight on 5 Live, because we will be crossing to Nice for live coverage of the England match at the Rugby Union World Cup this evening, which kicks off at 8 o'clock. You'll hear it here on 5 Live, England against Japan. Arsenal send a long ball forward for Martinelli, who is challenged, beaten to it by Tarkowski on the edge of the box, and then a stretch on the edge of the box. Onana and Gay. Everton try to break away. McNeil is dispossessed. Odegaard is bringing it forward now for Arsenal after taking the ball off McNeil. Plays it forward to Saka, and an important slide in there to put it behind by Branthwaite for an Arsenal corner.
Does really well there, Branthwaite, for such a young player. Read the game really, really well. Everton lost possession in a really dangerous position. Saka made the running behind, which allowed Odegaard to progress down the field. Slipped Saka in, but Branthwaite was there. He'd read the situation very well.
Just a point we should make as well about Everton. McNeil starting on the left with Danjuma on the right. So it's a corner that Saka is waiting to take. Second one they've had from that side. Again, the Arsenal players grouping themselves towards the far side of the penalty area.
Right behind that big post where we can't see him.
Behind the famous post. Many commentators have had to deal with that over the years. Ball played in to the back post. Martinelli, though, slipped at the crucial moment. Just delivered the ball to Branthwaite, who then promptly sliced it out of play for another corner. This from the left-hand side. Yes, I don't know if you well, I'm pretty sure you and I have not sat here together, but that white post that holds up the roof of the main stand that we're in has blighted generations of commentators here. I remember very well sitting here once with Jimmy Armfield when Jimmy had a clear view of the ball flying into the net, and I hadn't got a clue who'd got the touch to it. But Arsenal have got this corner then from the opposite side that is tapped short by Vieira, and it's Odegaard now approaching the penalty area, but pulls it back out centrally to Zinchenko, plays it back into the box, and now Vieira on his right foot shoots, but that has vanished away beyond, in fact right on the line of the pillar. The ball disappeared out of play and behind for a goal kick.
That was a real chance for Vieira there. It was a well worked corner. and he found himself about 12 yards out on the angle, and his unfavoured right foot, and he just kind of hits it straight. He's trying to bend it into the far post. You can see what he's trying to do, but he just didn't end up getting any shape.
And as if to back up what I was saying, it was like David Blaine that. He hit the shot and the ball just disappeared. Everton 0, Arsenal 0. Sean Dyche is standing there on the side of the pitch, and he's actually wearing a black armband, I notice, as well. And the Everton fans today, very shortly actually, will be remembering a young Everton fan, Matthew Dolby, 19 years old, season ticket holder, who was a victim of knife crime, and there will be applause to remember him in the 19th minute of the match. Ball played back to David Raya. It's 0-0, Everton 0, Arsenal 0 in our latest Premier League commentary of this weekend, 4th in a row, after what sounded like a rather disappointing 0-0 draw between Bournemouth and Chelsea, as Saka is put under pressure and is claiming that he was being fouled, and referee Hooper has brought it back. I'm not sure there was a great deal in that. He was sort of sandwiched as he was running with the ball, but you can hear the reaction from the Everton fans.
The referee didn't read the game very well there. I think he tried to play advantage to Arsenal, but the ball rolled straight to Ashley Young, who was immediately on the counter-attack, so he had to blow his whistle.
However, it is an Arsenal free kick that they play back into centre field. Arsenal with Ben White. I'm not sure exactly what his route is back into the England squad. Ben White, having been in the World Cup squad, but totally out of the picture since then. Ball is passed forward towards Odegaard, who has dropped deep for it. The captain, 2 goals so far this season. And now Declan Rice drops deep and gives the ball here to Gabriel. Approaching the halfway line, he's closed down by Gay, so it comes back to his right, to Saliba. And now Declan Rice glides forward with the ball again, gets it back, puts his foot on it, taps it forward. Ben White plays it for Saka, but that's slightly overhit. Branthwaite plays it back to Pickford, who had to be quick there, and he was caught by Nketiah. The two of them will have been training together with England this past week or so, but Nketiah, no quarter given there. As Pickford got there, he was caught late by Nketiah and sent flying, and the referee comes across, and it's just a ticking off from the referee.
Surprised he hasn't booked him there, really am. It was a poor back pass by Branthwaite, sold Jordan Pickford a little bit short. Pickford gets there first, but Nketiah's really committed to the challenge, and he keeps going, and he catches the England goalkeeper. There's a coming together. It's clumsy more than anything from Nketiah. He's not tried to pull out the challenge. Goalkeeper's not too pleased with him.
Well, Jordan Pickford, he does have plenty to say for himself, doesn't he? Such a favourite, isn't he? What about that save that he made in the dying moments of the Sheffield United match?
I thought it was fantastic against Sheffield United before the international break. I thought he earned his team a point towards the end of that game, and I was really pleased for him as well because of the manner in which he conceded that unfortunate own goal. It's one of the worst things in football as a goalkeeper. When you hear that crossbar bang and you know it's hit you on the head, you look round and you just pray that it's not in the goal.
Well, it wasn't on that occasion, as the ball's played back to Pickford, who passes it out towards the far side, and Tarkowski just knocks it back to the England goalkeeper. So it is Everton 0, Arsenal 0. Amongst the many events that we're keeping you across this afternoon of the Davis Cup tennis. We'll go there in a moment, but Everton on the attack, but Zinchenko is able to get there first, steer it back to David Raya, and the Arsenal goalkeeper takes a touch and then hits it downfield to Saka, who heads it on, but Mikalenko gets there first and is able to play it back to Pickford. It's actually Saka against Mikalenko all over again. We watched that last weekend when we were in Poland, when it was England against Ukraine. So they know each other very well for a second consecutive weekend, those two. Right, as promised, Great Britain against France at the Davis Cup in Manchester. Russell Fuller.
With Dan Evans having won, John, Cameron Norrie can see Britain through to the knockout stage of the finals, but he's just lost the first set on a tie-break to Hugo Humbert by 7 points to 5.
So we will be back with Russell for more in due course. The Australia-Fiji match is the next on Sports Extra. That's a 4:45 kickoff, so it must be just about getting underway. The commentary on Sports Extra. Conor McNamara is bringing you the commentary from St Etienne. That's on Sports Extra on your digital radio or via BBC Sounds. After the earlier win, South Africa 76, Romania 0. Every match from the Rugby Union World Cup is on 5 Live, Sports Extra, or via the BBC website. But Everton 0, Arsenal 0 here on 5 Live and the World Service. And so far, despite the Arsenal possession, I'm yet to make a note in terms of a clear goal-scoring opportunity. Saka does well, beats two men on the right-hand side, then gets his head down. Little ball to Odegaard. Odegaard being forced wide by Onana, and Arsenal have lost possession. Onana won it back, but then Ben White stepped in, and Arsenal come forward again, centrally, through the middle, from Declan Rice, who then dives in to try and win it back, and was caught. He appealed for it immediately, but Doucouré stretching, I think, did catch Declan Rice as he went down sliding on his knees, and it's a free kick to Arsenal.
They're struggling to get much possession, Everton, aren't they? Arsenal really are dominating the possession. When Everton do win it back, it's one or two passes, and Arsenal manage to close them down and get it back, or Everton are sloppy with the ball and they lose possession.
It's the voice of Paul Robinson, former Tottenham, Leeds, England goalkeeper. Everton 0, Arsenal 0. Vieira, left-footed ball down into the full-back position, and Nketiah made his run and didn't time it. The offside flag goes up on the far side, so it's a free kick to Everton deep inside their own half. Still looking for their first home point of the season. 2 1-0 defeats this season, Everton, in the 2 matches that have been played here against Fulham and Wolves. And a remarkable fact is that Everton have not scored more than 1 goal in a home match since last October. I mean, that is absolutely extraordinary. 10 goals in their last 15 matches here at Goodison. Here they come forward though, but Gabriel was well placed there against Beto to head the ball back to goalkeeper David Raya, who was able to deal with it comfortably.
The 2 home defeats this season were surprising. I mean, having worked for Sean and knowing how he works, you bunch games together and you look at certain fixtures, and those 2 games are games that you would expect them to be looking to pick points up from. If you lose home and away, from Everton's point of view to Arsenal, it's not going to define your season. Wolves at home, Fulham at home, you don't lose those games.
It's funny you should say that. We'll come back to that. But Odegaard sets Saka away down the right-hand side, a couple of step-overs. Mykolenko does well again and puts the ball out of play. I thought he did well, actually, against Saka in the match in the European Championship qualifier last weekend. If you remember, Saka took an early knock in that match, but Mykolenko stood up well to him. Everton 0, Arsenal 0. Sean Dyche in his programme notes today talks about the next group of matches that Everton are going to play. So there's this one today, but after this, Brentford away, that's a 5 Live commentary next Saturday tea time, then Luton at home, Bournemouth at home. That's the little group that he's thinking about at the moment. But it is Declan Rice just forward of the centre circle, playing it to White. Now Saka again. McNeil comes across. McNeil and Doucouré, but it goes to Rice, then back to White. White with a cross to the back post. It's hooked back across the penalty area, but then cleared away on the edge of the box by Danjuma, and the danger is gone for the moment. But Arsenal are just gently knocking on the door, and they've got Rice here again. You know, the greatest compliment for Declan Rice is that he's just settled into the role with Arsenal so comfortably, and he's given it to Martinelli. Martinelli thought about playing it into the box, instead to Rice on the edge of the D. Now White couldn't find either Rice or Zinchenko, and then Arsenal, White is able to come across and take it away and keep possession for Arsenal again, hence the groans of the home supporters.
Again, Everton really struggling for any kind of ball retention at the moment. They win it back and they either play a bad pass and they lose possession, or Arsenal swarming all over them. You right say about Declan Rice, he looks so comfortable there, whether he's dropping deep and receiving the ball or whether he's going into the pockets in behind Nketiah. Everything that Arsenal seem to do seems to go through Declan Rice at the moment. Yeah,
it is so important for his club, so important for England as well. All the raving talk about Bellingham, rightly so, on Tuesday night, but Rice is so important in that role in the England midfield. As Arsenal come forward again, it's turned out of play by Mykolenko, throw into Arsenal 10 yards back from the corner flag. Here comes the throw, looking for Odegaard on the dead ball line. It's actually headed away by Branthwaite. Then McNeil in the left back position just volleys it downfield, and Saliba has time to let it bounce, and then Gabriel is rushed by Beto, but Arsenal have it with Vieira, who slips it forward to Martinelli, right foot across Pickford and in, and Arsenal take the lead. Vieira, pinpoint pass through to Martinelli, who took his time, opened his body and stroked it past the England goalkeeper to make it Everton 0, Arsenal 1, and Martinelli has his first Arsenal goal of the season.
And it's a fantastic finish as well. Everton look to have possession. Vieira picks up the ball, he slides it through to Martinelli inside Ashley Young, who just pushed up thinking Everton had good possession, pushed high up. Martinelli sees the space in behind him, ball slipped into perfection, he runs into Pickford one-on-one on the angle, opens his right foot up, tucks it inside the far post. Nothing more than Arsenal's possession deserves.
And it is now the 19th minute here at Goodison Park. So Everton may have fallen behind, but now Goodison on its feet, all four stands, and the Arsenal supporters are joining in on this as well, as we see that there is a possible offside. So VAR are having a look, but this applause to remember the 19-year-old Matthew Dolby, who came here as a season ticket holder and who was a victim of knife crime earlier this year. A touching and very warm tribute. But on the pitch, players not resumed yet, because we're waiting to see the VAR lines to see if this Martinelli goal is going to be allowed to stand.
We haven't been privy to a replay yet, but I think they're actually
offside.
checking Nketiah.
I think it is offside.
It is.
It is. The goal's ruled out. The goal is ruled out.
I think it's Nketiah in the middle. When the original possession breaks down for Everton, Nketiah is running back from an offside position. He regains possession for Arsenal, lays it back to Vieira, who then plays the through ball. I think Martinelli's actually onside, but it's Nketiah in the original breakdown of possession that's off.
So that is in the correct phase, yeah?
Yeah.
So it is the same phase. And there we are. Where's the Tipex pen, Paul? I lent it to you earlier, didn't I? So it is Everton 0, Arsenal 0, and Gabriel Martinelli has what would have been his first Arsenal goal of the season ruled out. Well, that's a break for Everton. I have to say, with the naked eye, there didn't seem to be anything wrong with that, but obviously VAR has found the right outcome, or at least I hope they have. It did look it, I must say, and it is still 0-0.
Well, the pass from Vieira to Martinelli, there was nothing wrong with that. Martinelli had timed his run perfectly. Vieira let the pass go just at the right time. But it was when Everton lost possession and Arsenal played the ball forward. It was Eddie Nketiah that was running back from an offside position, who initially made the first pass to Vieira, who bounced it off to Martinelli, and that was the offside.
I think that was the first attempt on target in the match. So it remains 0-0. And an Arsenal man has gone down here. And there is a stoppage in play, and just trying to work out who that is. Is it Vieira?
I think, yeah, Vieira's down.
Yeah, it is. Who's flat on his back and is just leaning forward now. It's his left leg that they're having a look at. So the players have come across to have a swig of the water bottles again, as they did in the aftermath of the goal, actually, when VAR were checking it. But Mikel Arteta there is full of instructions for his team. Former Everton man, of course, remember. And Sean Dyche likewise. It was his first match this time last season. Sean Dyche as the Everton manager. A 1-0 win. James Tarkowski scored the goal. But then when they went to the Emirates just a few weeks later, in April, in actual fact, that was Sean Dyche's heaviest defeat as the Everton manager, the 4-0 loss that they suffered there. In fact, it's Martinelli. Martinelli was the Arsenal man who was down, having scored the goal. That's added injury to insult, and they are going to make a change, and that's it for Martinelli. So Leandro Trossard is going to come on, and while they do that, let's get an update from the golf at Wentworth from Ian Carter. It was suspended last I heard, Ian, so what's the news?
Yeah, no, we've been back for a while now, John, and Tyrrell Hatton has holed a birdie putt at the 18th from 9 feet for a 66 to set the clubhouse lead at 17 under par. Aaron Reyes missed an eagle putt by a whisker to go to 18 under at the last. He'll go to 17 under, but Ryan Fox from around about 5 feet will have a putt to get to 18 under and win the PGA very shortly.
OK, we'll be back with you for that at Wentworth. Really big couple of weeks of golf coming up. Next weekend, the Solheim Cup, you'll hear that on 5 Live Sports Extra, and then the weekend after that, blanket coverage of the Ryder Cup from Italy. So don't miss that. It is one of the great sporting spectacles, and it's actually tremendously good on the radio as well, even though I say so myself. It's that Ian Carter that makes it so good. But yes, Paul, I will be there.
Sounds like you've got a ticket to the golf again,
I will be there, yes. Everton 0, Arsenal 0. So what a tough break that is for Martinelli. You know, within the space of a few moments, scored the goal that's ruled out for offside, none of his doing, and now he's received an injury and he's had to leave the field.
He seemed to know as well, as in it was something before the game he was potentially struggling with, because immediately he went down, Trossard was readied.
And here is the new man into the action. Leandro Trossard scored for Belgium during the qualifiers, centrally to Odegaard, and then back to Zinchenko. Zinchenko plays the ball to the left-hand side. Vieira turns and uses Zinchenko again. I mean, I have to say, I didn't see the incident in which Martinelli picked up that injury, but I've already mentioned the fact he's been away in South America with Brazil this week, and you do wonder when that happens whether the travelling has played any part in that at all, but it depends how the injury was picked up, I suppose. Here is Trossard, sorry Paul.
Managers talk quite often in press conferences, don't they, about the international duty. As I said before the game, Mikel Arteta's lost 16 on international duty, and it's very difficult for him to keep tabs.
White and Saka combining together. White takes it on, pulls the ball across to the near post, cleared out to Rice, lovely footwork, right foot shot is blocked inside the box, out to Zinchenko, first time touch from him to Vieira. Vieira curls it in towards the back post, and Ben White stretching for it. I'm not sure he must have realised that Odegaard was behind him, and he headed it straight out of play for a goal kick to Everton. So it remains Everton 0, Arsenal 0 here at Goodison Park on 5 Live. And it is back down to Leafy Wentworth, Ian Carter, because
Ryan Fox has won it. He coaxed home that putt from 5-6 feet, getting up and down from 108 yards out for a 67 to get into the clubhouse at 18 under par, and he has won the biggest title of his career. He's the PGA champion.
And we might very well hear from him with Ian during the course of 5 Live Sport, or indeed on the World Service, as Everton, who had that let off after the goal was ruled out. Everton with Nana winning it in the centre circle, playing it back to Branthwaite, and then out to Tarkowski from Pickford, and Tarkowski being put under pressure by Nketiah and having to take the ball back to his dead ball line and then chipping it out of play for a throw into Arsenal down the left.
They look uncomfortable playing out from the back, don't they, Everton, with Tarkowski and Branthwaite, and Young with Pickford. At times they've got themselves in a mess with Saka and Nketiah. They've pressed high and they've caused Everton problems.
Yep, Branthwaite, who's come in alongside James Tarkowski, third consecutive Premier League start for the youngster, England under 21 international, who's with the squad, the European Championship winning squad, the young Cumbrian from Carlisle United originally, but Sean Dyche at the moment favouring this partnership, which is very much youth and experienced. Tarkowski and Branthwaite. Got Arsenal in possession with Ben White. White, who's seen a lot of the ball. Arsenal have really probed down the right-hand side with White and Saka primarily. But it comes back to Zinchenko, who's in that, moving into that midfield position from left-back. Left-footed ball from him, looking for Saka, but that's headed down. And then away by Mikalenko up the line. Doucouré's onto this. Doucouré passes it forward. But Saliba was able to come across quite easily and just pass it forward for Arsenal. Everton looking for their first goal here at Goodison Park this season, and now we're in the second half of September, of course. Ball to the edge of the area. It's Arsenal on the attack now though, and Nketiah, but it breaks down, and now in a central area it's played forward up the left hand side, and Beto on the ball into the penalty area, takes it towards the byline, but it's shepherded behind very nicely actually by Saliba, who went with Beto, just took him to the dead ball line, and in the end the final touch was off the big Everton man for a goal kick.
It's really difficult for Beto thus far this afternoon. He's cutting a very lonely figure at the front of that Everton strike force. Everton are sitting so deep when they do get possession. He received the ball there just inside Arsenal's half, and all he could do was run in a straight line towards the goal and try and get a corner, try and win something until his teammates joined him.
Still 0-0, Everton 0, Arsenal 0 at half-time on 5 Live. We'll have more on the Bournemouth-Chelsea game. We've already heard live from Mauricio Pochettino as Everton come forward with the ball in the centre circle. It's played out to Danjuma. We've seen little or nothing of him in the match. He's got it on the right, into the full-back position. 2 Arsenal men with him, so it's behind. Ashley Young puts his foot on the ball and then crosses, but David Raya is able to just move backwards 2 or 3, 4 steps and catch the ball above his head, and then one of those scything kicks downfield, long downfield for Sakatache, who actually bumps Branthwaite and shoves him over, sends him sprawling across the pitch, and it's a free kick to Everton.
It was better by Everton. First time they showed a little bit of intent to get into the Arsenal half. Ashley Young in a more advanced position down this right-hand side, put a decent cross in, as which we talked about before the game. They'll look to use Beto in the box, put balls into the box to try and get him on the end of him, but David Raya took the cross well.
Yeah, better from Everton. Beto from Everton. 10 minutes in, Australia 3, Fiji 0, as David Raya is able to, untroubled, take the bouncing ball on the edge of his own penalty area. Beto, who I notice his first name is Norberto. I wonder if he's the first Norberto to play in the top flight of English football. Nobby Stiles was just Norbert.
Nobby Solano?
I think he was Nolberto as opposed to Norberto. Gary's giving me the thumbs up.
That's the encyclopedia of knowledge talking there. We're one letter different.
Well, it's not the same, Paul. However you look at it. Doucouré does well against Rice and now advances to the edge of the area. He's still going. He might have been nudged over by Rice in the box, but referee Hooper's not interested, and Arsenal are able to bring the ball away, but Trossard is lost out, and now Danjuma will shoot straight into the back of Gabriel, and then Nketiah is challenged by Doucouré. Beto with a touch, then a low shot, but the offside flag is now up a notice. The shot in the end from Gay was comfortably saved down to his right by David Raya, but what about that? What about that for a penalty shout?
Well, we're not privy to the replay just yet, but Doucouré shows real intent, gets the ball and drives right at the heart of this Arsenal defence. Rice knows he can't touch him, and I think it's Saliba that just sticks a leg out, catches Doucouré, but it's probably not enough contact for a penalty. But the first time Everton have shown real intent and drive to get into this Arsenal box. On
first viewing, I think that's the right decision from referee Hooper.
I think it was the pace that Doucouré was going at. We're getting to have a look at it now. He just cuts inside in front of Rice. Saliba kind of dangles a leg out, which kind of half touches him, and you can see from Doucouré's reaction he wasn't overly disappointed that the referee hadn't given a penalty.
I think as well, on the sort of mazy run, the long run that he was making, as he cut into the box, he did actually play the ball, and the ball had run some distance before Doucouré actually ran into the leg of Saliba. So still 0-0, Everton 0, Arsenal 0. Still waiting for our first Premier League goal of the day. Free kick for Arsenal though, into the near post, that's headed away, back out towards the far side, back to where Odegaard took it. He allows it to bounce out of play, and it's a throw into Arsenal again, 10 yards back from the corner flag. First Premier League goal of the day, first goal at Goodison Park this season, still waiting for both of them. In the Championship, by the way, if you didn't hear, lunchtime kick-off, Leeds won 3-0 at Millwall, a couple of goals from Pirro in that match. Throw in for Arsenal, which is taken towards Odegaard, who's stretching for it but couldn't bring it down, and it's straight through for a goal kick. So I'll make a note of that nevertheless. Doucouré being challenged by Rice, and the shout for a penalty, largely because really I haven't made too many notes about anything.
It has been quite uneventful as in goalmouth action, hasn't it, apart from the goal that was obviously disallowed.
Yeah.
As we talked about Arsenal's possession, they've had lots of it, but haven't been really effective in the final third. Everton have struggled to get out. They're growing in confidence. They've realised that they can actually get into this Arsenal half, put bodies forward, and they can hurt them. The biggest compliment that you can pay is when Zinchenko drops back into the traditional left-back position. That's obviously meaning that Arsenal haven't got that comfortable possession which they had earlier on in the game.
Well, there have been some tremendously eventful games this weekend. You were at one of them yesterday, Aston Villa's late win against Crystal Palace, but there've also been a couple of duds as well.
I think you were at one of those,
and I was
you?
at one of those, which was the Newcastle-Brentford game. And judging by what Vicky and Glenn Murray were saying, Vicky Sparks, I don't think Bournemouth-Chelsea was a great spectacle either. Nice to hear Vicky back from her travels. Here's Gabriel bringing the ball out from the back, but puts his foot on the ball. So let's get back to the Davis Cup, because Russell Fuller has news.
To Hugo Humbert in this tie against France, but he's fighting back well in this second set, John, leading by 3-0. If Norrie wins, then Great Britain qualify for the quarterfinals in Malaga in November.
Thank you, Russell. Arsenal coming forward, but not at full tilt, although Zinchenko steps up the pace but then hits the pass. Trossard was on his heels, and Pickford was able to come out and pick up. And having lost Martinelli, you know, that's one of their most dangerous points of attack, isn't it, to lose him from the left-hand side, although obviously Trossard's an able deputy.
The relationship between him and Vieira early on in this game, that was where they were getting most of their opportunities. They had quality possession. Mikalenko's done well against Saka down the right-hand side, so they were looking a lot to Martinelli.
By a mile, the moment of the match so far was the pass from Vieira through to Martinelli, from which he put it in the net. As Vieira is caught by Danjuma, and he's gone down holding his face and rolling from side to side, and you know, putting his arm up in the air. I always think that's an indicator that there's nothing too serious when you see that sort of arm in the air, trying to attract the referee's attention.
Well, he's gone down as though he's been hit heavily in the face, but within 30 seconds he's immediately able to carry on, and he's no longer waving.
I was just praising him. Put a great ball through as well. I mean, he's been a big part of what Arsenal have done. He's come on as a substitute for Vieira in 3 of the matches so far this season. Put the ball through to Gabriel Jesus for the 3rd against Manchester United before the internationals. That ball through to Martinelli today, but we could do without that. As Saliba plays it across to Gabriel, and then Zinchenko, and back it goes to David Raya, who puts his foot on the ball, tugs it out to the right, and then hits a long pass to Ben White, who lifts it over McNeil. Ben White, though, is forced by Onana to go back, but he does well, finds Saka. I think Saka was caught late there, played it through to Odegaard. Saka has stayed down now, and the Everton fans are onto Arsenal here, because Saka stayed down moments after Vieira made rather more than he might have done out of a challenge on this side of the field. But Saka is still over there on his knees.
There's a really good interchange between Odegaard, Rice and Saka. Good little move by Arsenal. But what Everton have done really well with Mikalenko, Onana and Gay have slid across and protected the fullbacks. And Mikalenko does just catch Saka. I think the referee tried to play a little advantage in the half. And down below us here, Mikel Arteta and Sean Dyche are having words. There's only one winner there, I'm afraid.
Yeah, Sean Dyche has shrugged that off. Mikel Arteta is speaking to the 4th official as well, who is standing between the two of them. It's Anthony Taylor who is fulfilling that role today, and Saka is up on his feet. You can hear the boos from the Everton supporters. So Everton 0, Arsenal 0. Choice of listening at the moment. Australia-Fiji at the Rugby Union World Cup, live from Saint-Etienne, is on Sports Extra, but Claire Thomas can give us an update.
It's as tight as we suspected it might be in this crucial Pool C clash. It's 3 apiece at the Stade Geoffroy Guichard, with penalties from Ben Donaldson and Simeone Kuravolu, the only scores so far. The Fijians have had the lion's share of territory and possession, but haven't yet broken the green and gold wall, although some of the hits have been thunderous. 19 minutes played, and it's 3-3.
Yes, I remember that stadium well from the last Euros in Saint-Etienne. Everton 0, Arsenal 0. Throw in for Arsenal, 10 yards inside their own half, and Anthony Taylor's just kept his position there between the two managers in the quite small technical area here, just to make sure that there are no further spicy exchanges between the two of them. Here's Doucouré now, turns on the halfway line. Doucouré, little ball out the far side as the challenge is put in there by Declan Rice. And has that been given as a free kick? I think it might have been. Yes, it has. So it's a free kick to Everton, and the cheers from the Everton supporters for that.
Opportunity for Everton just to take the sting out of the game a little bit now. They've got a set play about 20-30 yards inside the Arsenal half. They will load the box. They'll put the 2 centre-halves forward. Tarkowski and Branthwaite will go forward, and it'll be delivered into the box. Arsenal are going to try and hold a high line.
So the free kick to be played in. As I say, it's roughly 10 yards inside the Arsenal half on the far side. It's actually played square to Ashley Young. Groans from the Everton supporters. They wanted it in the box in the direction of Beto, but eventually Young's ball in is comfortably headed away by Gabriel, who is up there winning the header against Onana, and it's Arsenal inside their own half. It's Zinchenko who misplaces the pass. Actually Beto stepped into the way of it, so it was straight back to Everton, and now infield from Doucouré. McNeil, left foot shot, straight at Gabriel on the edge of the box, who is able to take all of the pace off it. And actually Arsenal could be away on the counter-attack here. It's Vieira who's carried it over the halfway line, but he wanted Nketiah to come to him. He went in the other direction, so he had to double back to the halfway line, back into his own half, and it's come to nothing for Arsenal. Although Vieira's back with it again, swings a left-footed ball out to the right-hand side, chested down by Saka. Now he's got the ball at his feet. Saka cutting in field as he does so dangerously time and time again, but Everton are wise to that. Zinchenko then gives it to Rice, now to Ben White on the right. Mikolenko puts in the challenge, bounces to Odegaard. Declan Rice again near the right corner of the box, and then Ben White's there as well. Little ball into Odegaard, flick back to White with a shot, left-footed, but it's straight at Pickford, who's able to pat it down from in front of his face.
Lovely interchange by Arsenal there, decent strike on goal, but Sean Dyche below us, he's got a lot to say to his team, because Everton had the free kick, so they were higher up the field and they decided to put on a high press, but Arsenal just showed their quality. They won the possession back, and within 2 passes they were in the final third of Everton, causing them problems, and that shows why they're trying to have a low block against this Arsenal team, because if they do lose possession, 2 or 3 passes, Arsenal can cut them apart.
Yeah, good interplay that though from Arsenal, pressed by Ben White in the middle of all that as well. And Ben White it was in the end who hit the shot, but straight at Pickford. So Everton 0, Arsenal 0 remains the score on this 5 Live Premier League Sunday on BBC Sounds, on the World Service as well. And Arsenal coming forward over the halfway line. Huge week ahead. Arsenal returning to the Champions League after a 7-year absence. Yes, that was very much the talking point at Newcastle yesterday, their return after 20 years. But for Arsenal, 7-year gap from the Champions League. Home match against PSV, so that's going to be a big night on Wednesday. We'll have it all covered for you. And our 3 Champions League commentaries are Milan, Newcastle and Manchester City, Red Star Belgrade on Tuesday night. And then Bayern Munich, Manchester United, which is kicking off at the same time as Arsenal PSV. But I'll be in Munich during Oktoberfest, as I learned from Rafa Honigstein a couple of weeks ago, which is a great event. I don't know whether you've ever had the pleasure of Oktoberfest.
I haven't, no, never. But I'm not sure I believe that you wasn't sure that it was on and you didn't know about it.
Honestly. And you might wonder, but it does. It begins in September and then goes on into October.
Not sure many Manchester United fans will be looking forward to that trip at the moment.
Well, they might enjoy Oktoberfest more than they enjoy the Allianz Arena, but we'll see. Certainly it looks daunting for them. Here's Zinchenko, 30 yards out, on his left foot, thought about a shot but was quickly closed down by Doucouré, so gives it to Trossard. Trossard, now he's got 2 Everton men with him, plays it into the box at pace. Zinchenko is there, but forced out of the penalty area, gives it back to Gabriel. Everton have got everyone back apart from Beto. As Paul Robinson said, Beto is very much playing the lone striker role here in his home debut, and Arsenal still in possession. Gabriel just wanders forward with it, and then Vieira square to Rice. White is over there on the far side, Zinchenko as well. Ben White again, Saka now. It's just hasn't quite got the zip that Arsenal want. But Zinchenko to the edge of the box, bounces away, it's cleared by Everton. They look to break away, but Danjuma couldn't get there. Vieira was just too nippy and was able to get to the ball first, and Arsenal back in possession. Still goalless here. Still just the 2 goals in the matches at Goodison Park so far this season. Rice playing it square to White. White just forward and right at the centre circle, but this is football at walking pace here. It's up to Arsenal to try and find a way through. I mean, this, as Paul Robinson said right at the outset, this was the approach from Everton, and Arsenal, it's up to them to try and find a way through this. Gabriel now. Gabriel to Trossard. Trossard on the left wing. He's now moving in field. But then it goes back to Zinchenko. And Zinchenko, square from him. The Arsenal supporters over in that corner. They've not seen their team win here since 2017. They're trying to urge them on to a little bit of inspiration. White. Then to Saka on the far side. Everton working so hard to make it as difficult as possible for Arsenal. Zinchenko then curls a pass long into the area, taken down by Vieira, pulls it across via a deflection which took it back out of the penalty area, and Everton should be able to get it away, but that was an opening not taken advantage of by Vieira, and then Zinchenko is able to put in a challenge on the halfway line on Beto to put it out for a throw for the home side.
Something that Arsenal are going to come up against a lot this season. Teams that will play the low block and say, go on then, break us down, try and get through. They've got to be quicker, they've got to move the ball quicker in the final third. They've got to move Everton players out of position and try and create space, just like they did for that disallowed goal. Having the possession in front of Everton, it's all well and good. I've not looked at the stats, but I suspect they're over 70% possession. But not being able to turn that into goals will be something that they'll have to do this season, because they'll find that teams will frustrate them.
It's got to be in that region, hasn't it? As in fact 78%, Gary Flintoff just tells us. Ball forward, but Everton offside against McNeil, so a free kick to Arsenal. Dwight McNeil just has come across to the right and Danjuma to the left for the time being. So 4 minutes of added time. We're not quite into that yet. At half-time we'll have more on Bournemouth 0-0 with Chelsea, more on the Singapore Grand Prix. If you've not heard, that sounded eventful. Check out Flag podcast. We'll have all of the details on BBC Sounds. Long pass from White, but that is beyond the run that was being made by Vieira, and it's through for a goal kick. Yep, BBC Sounds, where you'll also get the Monday morning 5 Live Football Daily podcast for free. Neda Manuaha, part of it every Monday morning, and a goal kick for Everton that Pickford is going to take. So in terms of goal mouth activity, very little in the first half, and Everton clearing through Mikalenko out of play off Saka, so it's a throw into Everton halfway inside their own half. In fact, it was a handball, wasn't it? I think. Yes, it was. So a free kick to Everton that I think will be left to Jordan Pickford. Pickford comes up, the long run up, and then strikes it, left-footed, long downfield, but beyond Beto, headed away by Saliba. It is won in centre field by Idrissa Gueye, who runs it out to the left-hand side, crosses left-footed, McNeil takes it down on his chest, shoots, that was blocked inside the area by Saliba, comes back to Everton, and then, it's given away in centre field. Trossard was very quickly onto that. The crossfield pass from Onana, but that's won back by McNeil, who is adjudged to have fouled Trossard, and it's a free kick to Arsenal halfway inside their own half.
Oh, it feels hard done to there, feels like he's won the ball.
It's a yellow card for the foul by Ashley Young.
He just catches him just as Trossard plays the ball back. He just catches him. I think he gets a little bit of the ball, but he catches the player as well. The referee's kept his yellow card in his pocket for the majority of this first half. There was challenges previously that you would have expected him to bring it out. He's chosen to bring it out just now before half-time.
Yep, first yellow for Ashley Young. Ashley Young, the evergreen Ashley Young, at 38 years old. He is now a former England man. So Pickford with the ball just inside his penalty area, rolls it out to Branthwaite. Branthwaite forward to Idrissa Gueye, who passes it back to Pickford, and then Pickford takes a touch, and then with his left foot bouncing into the centre circle to Beto, who, well, he controlled it on his chest, and I think with an arm he caught the Arsenal man who was behind him, Declan Rice, who's gone down, and referee Hooper's just walking across there because Rice is, in fact it's not Rice, is it? It is Ben White who's just climbing to his... Saliba, actually. Saliba's just climbing to his feet. He's okay.
I mean, that's really poor from the Arsenal man. Yeah. This is good, very good centre-forward play by Beto. He's just got his back to goal. He's trying to hold the ball up, and his hand brushes Ben White's face. And I mean, he's gone down in a manner that we've discussed so many times this season. He's rolling around, holding his face, and within 30 seconds, he's just got up.
Saliba it was.
That's really poor, isn't it, from the Arsenal player? Really poor.
Yeah. So, I mean, referee Hooper had to, I don't blame the referee. That's the guidance that they get, and players back underway. Summed it up really. It's been so scrappy. Everton 0, Arsenal 0. As Arsenal again come forward, but there's no pace in this. They have to come back, recycle it through centre field. Rice Back to Gabriel, now to Vieira on the left-hand side. Vieira against McNeil, takes him on, beats him one way then the other, then cuts back again onto his right foot. It's a long pass to the edge of the area. White takes it down, tries to set up Rice, but Idrissa Gueye very quickly closes down Declan Rice. I mean, there's no space over there at all. And then White is challenged and it's out of play for a throw-in.
They defended really well and resolutely, Everton, with Gueye and Onana protecting that back four, sliding from side to side. And Arsenal at times have been pedestrian-like. They've lacked that spark in the final third. They've lacked that key to the door, if you like. Odegaard's been a bit deep. They've struggled without Martinelli. They've had a lot of possession, but it's been slow, pedestrian-like. Mikel Arteta at half-time will go in and say, we have to get the ball forward quicker. We have to get in behind this defence quicker.
And that's it. That's a goalless first half here. Everton 0, Arsenal 0. And I have to confess, Paul, I suspect more of the same in the second half.
Well, listen, I think Sean Dyche will be delighted with the way that his team have performed in the first half. They've had a clear game plan. They've stuck to that game plan. And bar the disallowed goal that was offside, it's worked for him. They've grown into the game a little bit. They've threatened at times from set plays. They haven't had a load of opportunities, but we haven't seen Everton score goals. They're not a real goal threat. From an Arsenal point of view, I'm not surprised that they've had the Lions' possession of the ball. They've had basically the whole possession the first half, but they just haven't had that creativity. They haven't been able to unlock the door, and it's been possession, controlled possession, in front of a very deep line Everton defence who are quite comfortable with Arsenal having possession in front of them.
And David Raya, who's come in to make his Arsenal debut, the much heralded great goalkeeper with his feet, well, that's just about all he's had to do, use his feet. He hasn't had to make a save.
But I think we've seen them use him a lot more. Whether, you know, in a similar situation I talked to you before the game about Onana going into Manchester United. Manchester United, I've watched them, they now pass the ball square and backwards because the goalkeeper's able to do that. And I found that Arsenal, rather than going forward, the defenders, the midfielders had opportunities to turn and be penetrative themselves. They would use the goalkeeper and they would pass the ball at the back, at times unnecessarily.
Just a little touch from Aaron Ramsdale there, by the way, who came out to warm up with the substitutes at half-time. He actually gave David Raya a high five as the two crossed one another, going on and coming off the field. So half-time here at Goodison Park, it's Everton 0, Arsenal 0.
It's been every bit as stodgy as Everton have wanted it to be, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really good word, actually. I said before the game, they have to find a way. They're not going to go toe-to-toe with Arsenal and play football. They've got to disrupt them. They've got to make it uncomfortable for them. That's why Arsenal don't like coming here. The history hasn't been good here because Everton have always found a way to play against them. And Sean Dyche's teams are good at doing that, because if you look at him at Burnley, the Burnley team that he's managed have quite often been inferior to other teams. And by that sense, they have to find a way of playing against the team, of making it uncomfortable and getting something from the game. It was never going to be pretty from an Everton point of view.
Paul, John, thank you for the time being. So we're still waiting for our first goal of the day on Premier League Sunday. Everton 0, Arsenal 0 at the break. Earlier it finished Bournemouth 0, Chelsea 0. We've got reaction from Maurizio Pochettino and Anthony Iraola on the way. We'll also keep you up to date with what's happening at the Rugby Union World Cup. We'll be in Nice for the first time. Don't forget, England versus Japan in full later tonight on 5 Live at 8 o'clock. And it's Australia 8, Fiji 9 is a later score in Pool C. That could impact England as well. If England win their section, they'll play the runner-up in Pool C, which of course also features Wales. We'll also speak to Robbie Savage. First chance to look ahead to 606 08085 909 693. The lines are open, so you can book your calls in right now. We'll do all of that after the news with Stuart Clarkson.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The BBC says it's urgently looking into the issues raised by an investigation into Russell Brand by other news outlets. He worked on BBC radio programmes between 2006 and 2008. The Met Police has also confirmed that it's in touch with the Sunday Times and Channel 4 following allegations of sexual assault made this weekend. Mr Brand has strongly denied the claims and says all his relationships have been consensual. A 35-year-old woman's been charged with the murder of 2 elderly people in Chelmsford. Virginia McCulloch will appear in court tomorrow. Essex police say they were called out on Wednesday after concerns were raised about the welfare of 2 people. International aid is slowly reaching the Libyan city of Derna, which was devastated by flash floods last Sunday. Thousands of people died and many more have been left homeless with no electricity or clean water. Our correspondent Anna Foster is there.
One thing that we are starting to see now is the beginning of international aid arrivals from different countries around the world, and it's starting to reach the places that need it, and crucially with trying to help those survivors who are still living in the middle of, in many ways, a nightmare.
Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni says the future of Europe is at stake following another influx of migrants from North Africa to Lampedusa by boat. The head of the EU Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, has been on the island today. She's offered proposals on legal pathways for migration, plus greater efforts to tackle people smuggling. More than 8,000 migrants arrived on Lampedusa in just 3 days last week. And Labour has said it won't guarantee to build the full route of the planned HS2 high-speed rail line if it wins the next election because of concerns about the possible cost. It creates further uncertainty for the project, which has seen costs spiral after a minister refused to commit to the line reaching Manchester.
Get ready for more, betterer, excellenter, goodlier, way out there, bestest American football. NFL on 5 Live and Radio 5 Sports Extra. It's heavy RMS power, so dial your amps up to 12 and crank up BBC sounds to soak up the atmosphere and excitement from sports' epically entertaining game. Gridiron mastery, pigskin perfection in their 104th season.
Later tonight, it's New York Jets at Dallas Cowboys. Live play-by-play commentary on Radio 5 Sports Extra.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Sport with Steve Crossman.
On 5 Live. Listen on BBC Sounds.
Great Britain serving for the set in the latest rubber at the Davis Cup over in Manchester. Russell Fuller.
In the shape of Cameron Norrie, who now has 30-15 and 5-3, but he's lost the first set on a tiebreak to Hugo Humbert, the world number 36. Dan Evans beat Artur Fils earlier, so if Norrie wins this match, the doubles will be academic, and Great Britain will qualify for the knockout stages of the finals in Malaga in November. 13,000 people watching in the AO Arena, the biggest ever Davis Cup UK crowd, and Norrie feeling a little bit of pressure. He's not in great form, his confidence isn't high, but he did have 2 very important wins for his country in February when the eyes of the sporting world were elsewhere, when he won a couple of matches in Bogota at altitude on clay to see Britain through to this stage of the competition. He's closing in on the second set here, trying to level the match, just 1 point away, 2 set points at the moment, and we'll see if he can finish it off here, Steve, to level this match with Humbert, but he's netted there, Norrie, so it continues. You know tennis, it could go on a while, but it's a second set point for Norrie to try and level this match.
Russell, thank you very much. We'll be back with you very, very shortly. Let's go back to the Rugby Union World Cup. Australia with a lot of work to do against a very impressive Fiji. Claire Thomas.
We thought this one might be a thriller, and the first half has done nothing to disprove that. Fiji lead Australia by just 4 points in Saint Etienne. Much of this one has been on a knife edge in the midfield with points at a premium, and so Fiji uncharacteristically have headed for the post whenever that's been on offer, and a note-perfect Simeone Kuravoli has slotted 4 penalties. Australia, though, have managed the only try of the afternoon through prodigious winger Mark Nwanganituase, who is such a formidable, fearless athlete. You might be forgiven for thinking he's a Fijian himself. The hits are huge, the pace breakneck, and the consequences enormous. Australia place 1 foot in the quarters if they win today, whilst Fiji needs to spring an upset if they're to keep their own campaign alive. What a game this is proving. Half-time is looming in Saint Etienne, and it's Australia 8, Fiji 12.
Cameron Norrie has just dropped both of those 2 set points, so it remains 5-3 juice at the moment, of course, on the Norrie serve. Great Britain leading France in that crucial winner-takes-all Davis Cup tie by 1 rubber to 0. Let's go to Nice then. The third and final game of the Rugby World Cup this afternoon is England versus Japan. Live commentary on 5 Live with Sonia McLaughlin once we're done with Premier League Sunday and 6:06. Correspondent Chris Jones, Chris Ashton in the stadium in Nice. And as I was just saying, Chris, you know, half an eye on the moment at what happens between Australia and Fiji, because it'd be very interesting to see who England are going to end up playing in the quarter-final.
Oh, 100%. Fascinating game, as Claire was saying, edging towards half-time. If Fiji can win that, then Goodness me, that shakes up Pool C, doesn't it, with Wales getting that bonus point win just about against Portugal here at this stunning stadium on the outskirts of Nice, where we are right now. But yeah, England have got to get there first, as do Wales. Wales are 2 from 2. England 1 from 1 after that. Pressure lifting, crucial, enormous win against Argentina last Saturday. They put some fantastic foundations in place. Can they back it up tonight? That's the big question.
This is the big test of the pool for them, isn't it, Chris?
Yes, well, I mean, it's as everyone always says, it's one game at a time. This week's Japan. We haven't seen too much of them since 2019, really, where they were upsetting every team, Scotland, Ireland. So we're looking forward to seeing them play tonight. They will have targeted England. They will be back in another upset like they got against South Africa a few years ago. For England's side, it's great to have some consistency in the back line. We're not seeing it too often recently for an England rugby team where we've got the same back line out for a second week in a row. Hopefully we can build on that and get some tries under our belt.
What are Japan's big weapons, guys?
Ball movement. They really set the rugby world alight, didn't they, with what they did in 2015 against Africa and Brighton, but more particularly, I think, 2019, because they backed it up to the extent they got out of their pool and became the first side from Asia to reach the World Cup quarter-final. Same coach in Jamie Joseph at the helm. Bit of a squad turnaround, but still the back row's world-class with Leach, Labashakni and Himeno. Unagari's a world-class operator at number 9, and Kotaro Matsushima, who I'm sure Chris Ashton has played against, because he's played against everyone in his brilliant career. He's the live wire on the wing. So are they the same force of 2019? Probably not. Have they got a chance, though, to get a major scalp again at the Rugby World Cup tonight? Of course they do.
Thank you very much, guys. Chris Jones and Chris Ashton inside the stadium in Nice. 8 o'clock, full commentary. Join Sonia McLaughlin and the team after 6:06. Bournemouth and Chelsea remain in the bottom half of the Premier League table after a goalless draw at the Vitality earlier. So there's only one win in the Premier League this season between the two of them. Here's the Chelsea head coach, Maurizio Pochettino.
It's difficult to split the performance and the result and the feelings now, because I think we feel all disappointed, and of course we wanted to win. We created too many chances, but again we didn't score for second time, And yes, that is a thing that is make me very, very angry and disappointed, because the effort of the team is fantastic. The players were fantastic in the effort, and they fight a lot. But we need sometimes this luck, or sometimes this be more clinical in front of the goal. It's only we need this because all the metrics are good. We create too many chances, but in football it's about to score goals.
That's Pochettino. Here is the Bournemouth boss, Anthony Iraola, with George Cummins.
Andoni, your reflections on your team's performance this afternoon, what did you make of it?
We're happy with the performance of the team. Probably 1 point, it's not enough, no? But it's true that we were facing a very good team like Chelsea, that they can score in any play. So I think there are a lot of positives today.
And just in terms of what you've seen from your side, you've only been here a short time, but when are they really going to be playing how you want them to in your style of football?
You never know. We don't have any guarantee. Nobody has. But I think we're improving. Today, I think there were really good news in also in individual performances against difficult opponents. I think we had our first clean sheet. That is also good news for us, because we know that we need to improve these numbers defensively. But we still need the complete pack, no? The game where you score and you can win the game.
Let's go back to Manchester. Second set has now ended. Russell Fuller.
On a fourth set point, and having saved one break back point, Cameron Norrie has taken it 6-3 against Hugo Humbert. So this second match of the day is level at 1 set all. If Norrie wins the decider, Great Britain are into the quarterfinals.
Thank you very much, Russell. You can watch along on BBC iPlayer or get more coverage on the BBC Sport website. 08085 909 693. Lines are open for 606 with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton. Afternoon, Rob.
Afternoon, Steve. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. But you know what? It's been a tough one today with the two games. I won't lie to you. Well, you just say it how it is.
Yeah. Seriously.
What are you going to talk about?
I've got no idea. What about the rugby? It's a short show because of the rugby tonight. But listen, obviously a lot of debate about that goal ruled out for Arsenal. Correct decision. No, there was no intent from Bettel to play the ball deliberately. So I think it's the correct decision. VAR for once, doing really well. Talking about Heckenbottom, talking about the referees yesterday.
Yeah.
The standard of refereeing, and I agree with some of the points he made. Steve, no question about it.
Which ones do you agree with? Because he talked for a long time, didn't he?
Well, the one where he alluded to the fact that we need people to know what they're doing. What was that point he made?
There was one where he said that he felt the officials were dictating the way that Sheffield United were playing, which I'm not sure was met with quite as much support.
Yeah, I get that though. I understand that. I do understand that from Paul Heckenbaum. I watch a lot of games, and listen, I'm a big advocate of referees. And listen, we need more referees, young referees especially. I think the percentage of dropouts is huge. So listen, we offer support to referees, but some of the decisions, and is Howard Webb doing a better job than Mike Riley? That's a big question. But today, VAR's got that completely right, and without VAR, that goal would have probably stuck. And Everton, listen, are they going to have a shot? Are they going to get a goal at home? It's been a long afternoon for you. Hopefully it's not as long 6:06. It won't be.
It's going to be great.
We go to the rugby. 08285 9096 693, Stephen.
Thank you very much indeed. Robbie and Chris Sutton with you. Once we're done at Goodison, teams on their way out now for the second half. Couple of other sports lines for you. Ferrari's Carlos Sainz has won the Singapore Grand Prix to end Max Verstappen and Red Bull's winning run. It's the first time any non-Red Bull driver has won a race this season. New Zealand's Ryan Fox has won golf's PGA Championship at Wentworth. Harry Brook has been included in England's squad for the Cricket World Cup. Jason Roy misses out. And Oldham Athletic have sacked their manager David Unsworth, of course a former Goodison favourite, and that's where we're going right now for second half commentary of Everton against Arsenal with Paul Robinson and correspondent John Murray.
Yes, thanks, Steve. Just to explain what Robbie and Steve were talking about there, television have looked at this at half-time, and when Nketiah was deemed to be offside in his part in the build-up to the goal that was disallowed, the issue was whether it had actually bounced forward off Beto. Gabriel miscontrolled it. It hit Beto. The ball bounced forward. But as Robbie was saying, the feeling was, Paul Robinson, that he actually didn't have the ball under control, Beto. So it was a deflection forward. So it was the right decision.
And unintentional from the Everton player. And I mean, that's what the lads are quite rightly saying then. If we didn't have VAR, that goal would have stood. And this is one of the incidents where VAR has come to the fore and it's proved its worth.
So Everton 0, Arsenal 0, as the Everton players are applauded, a smattering of applause as they appear in dribs and drabs from down out of our side, in between out from the tunnel down there, the famous tunnel at Goodison Park. The dugouts, of course, that used to be here were the first dugouts in English football, which was Friday's fact of the day, incidentally, on Drive. Every Friday afternoon. It was Claire McDonnell this week. We had a technical nightmare, but it was a very good question, and the answer was that Goodison Park was the first ground in England to have dugouts. So there we are. Next thrilling instalment this Friday. So Everton 0, Arsenal 0. Everton, as they started, with Pickford, Young, Tarkowski, Branthwaite and Mikolenko, Gay and Onana, McNeil, Doucouré, Danjuma and Beto. And Arsenal having made the change in the first half, the enforced change, Martinelli having to go off and Trossard coming on. I'll run through their team in full, but here is Saka after Everton kicked off the second half. Arsenal are very quickly in possession. Everyone, I think, inside Goodison Park expecting more of the same. But the cross from the left-hand side from the arriving Zinchenko is headed away at the near post, and Arsenal have got it again on the halfway line. So David Raya in goal, that's the big talking point. That'll be something to discuss on 6:06. Ramsdale being replaced by David Raya for this game. Back four, White, Saliba, Gabriel and Zinchenko. Then midfield of Rice, Odegaard and Vieira, and Saka and Nketiah and substitute Trossard. Arsenal coming forward, ball played from the left, and then the arriving Saka couldn't deliver it back across the box to a teammate. It was blocked. But Arsenal now, lovely touch, Odegaard, left foot shot, Pickford makes the save, diving to his right, Vieira with a follow-up, brought it down, but volleyed it high into the park stand. But there we are, Jordan Pickford becomes the first goalkeeper in the match to make a proper save.
And a fine save as well. Odegaard finds himself in a really good position there, and from Arsenal's point of view, he should do better. He hits the target and forces a really good save from Jordan Pickford. And what Jordan Pickford does well, he puts the ball into an area. Odegaard receives the ball on his right foot, 12 yards out an angle, hits it hard with his left foot. It's too hard for Pickford to catch, but what he does while he dives, he pushes it into an area that doesn't cause him a problem. A really good start to this second half from Arsenal. They've obviously come out the dressing room with intent. Mikel Arteta's told them that they need to be quicker, they need to move the ball quicker, get at Everton quicker than they did in the first half, and they've certainly done that.
As Beto brings the ball forward, gets it down, actually played it past Gabriel, then ran into him, so was blocked by the Arsenal defender, and it's a free kick, and I think that will be it. The attendance, 39,217, and it is a yellow card for Gabriel, who tried to make himself look as innocent as possible, backing away, put his arms up in front of his chest, but did step into the path of Beto, who clattered into him.
He wasn't very subtle there, Gabriel, was he? I think he realised that Beto had got the better of him, ran round him and just sidestepped into him in a similar way we've been seeing in the Rugby World Cup.
It was, yeah. He wouldn't be out of place, Beto, in one of those Rugby Union World Cup squads. Quite a tight match going on, by the way, Australia and Fiji. That's on Sports Extra. Free kick, though. Ashley Young to play it in to the Arsenal penalty area, only half cleared away, only half headed away. It comes out to Doucouré on the left hand side, and then Danjuma back into the centre circle. It is Australia 8, Fiji 12. That's the latest score. Ball over the top for Doucouré, but Ben White, again, I'm not sure there's a great deal in that, was challenged on the edge of the penalty area, went down rather easily, and Onana's challenge, the two of them just came together, giving us a free kick.
The referee set a precedence. He seems to be giving a lot of free kicks, as you can hear by the Goodison Park faithful in the background. Not everybody's in agreement with the referee at the moment,
and that's not particularly helping the spectacle, is it?
No, it's scrappy at times, and with the stop-startness of the free kicks. But listen, there's one manager down there that won't be disappointed in that. It's Sean Dyche. You know, if they can disrupt this Arsenal team, if they can, you know, they can disrupt a rhythm, they can do something different, get set plays, put them into the box.
Yep, that's clearly the thinking. And remember, they won it, this game, last season, Sean Dyche's first match, with a header from James Tarkowski, 1-0. Here's Saka on the right-hand side, though, receives it, gets the ball down, but two men there on him, little ball into the area to Odegaard. Odegaard, though, well challenged. Excellent from Branthwaite, followed him, went in, put the challenge in. Odegaard back in possession, though. Now it's Ben White. White with a little ball in. Saka trying to turn his man on the edge of the box. Mikalenko, who did well. Still Arsenal probe again. This is a little zippier from Arsenal. Odegaard, Zinchenko hits the shot. That's blocked inside the penalty area. Zinchenko's onto this, but Beto gets there first on the edge of the area. And Everton trying to play it out from the back. Very cool from Beto. Applause for him. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is on the bench, just to let you know if you didn't hear that earlier. And eventually it's out for a throw-in, and it remains 0-0 on 5 Live and the World Service in the 5th minute of the second half. The grey skies, but quite mild, not as cool as it was at St James's Park last night, as Everton hit a long pass forward. Saliba gets there first, plays it back to David Raya, who, with Doucouré bearing down on him, just passes it away to his left, and Arsenal do bring it out from the back, where it's deflected out of play for an Arsenal throw. Paul Robinson.
Yeah, they play out very comfortably, David Raya there. You can see that the players do trust him, but it encourages them to use him a lot more often. He takes a very, very high line out of his goal. I mean, Arsenal got comfortable possession now inside their own half, and he's almost just behind the back two of Saliba and Gabriel.
Mikel Arteta steps forward to the edge of his coaching area. Down there, Mikel Arteta. Amazing to think, you know, how time flies, that this is his 186th match as the Arsenal manager in all competitions. Here they have it on the left-hand side. Good progress, runners-up last season, finishing 5 points behind Manchester City, but that's what they are right now, 5 points behind Manchester City. That's why, you know, matches like this, they simply have to keep pace with the top clubs, and principally the defending champions.
Say about Arteta, it's quite incredible the fact that he's racked up that many games, the pressure that he was under when he first took over the job.
Odegaard now to Saka. Saka trying to find a way into the box, blocked by Branthwaite. Here's Odegaard again. Odegaard plays it back. Zinchenko out to the left-hand side. Substitute Trossard is there. Trossard beats Danjuma. Right-footed ball into the box, but that is headed away by Onana on the edge of the 6-yard area, and Arsenal start again. When Pickford made that save earlier, that had the hallmarks of an Odegaard goal all over it. We've seen that so many times, haven't we? Pulling the ball onto his left foot in the area, opening it up, but just wasn't able to direct the shot wide enough of Pickford.
And West sat right behind it here, and Odegaard, he created himself space that wasn't there almost, didn't he? He seemed to get a good bit of space in the box, and you just expect him there to open up on his left foot and curl it round Pickford. He didn't quite get the width on it. It was too close to the goalkeeper, but the goalkeeper still had to make a good save.
So Pickford will just roll the ball out in front of the penalty area. Long from him downfield. It's headed infield by Saliba. But Gay gets there first for Everton. Now Danjuma. He's moving infield from the right-hand side, but it breaks down Doucouré's return pass. Not good enough for Danjuma. And Arsenal will clear, although Vieira's given it away. And there's encouragement for the home fans here inside Goodison. Just under 40,000 people watching, hoping that they're going to see Everton's first goal here this season. And there's a miscontrol from Mykolenko on the left wing. Under his foot, throw into Arsenal.
Sums the game up, that really, doesn't it? A lot of misplaced passes. Nobody really enjoying that much possession. The game needs a goal, John, doesn't it? Really does need a goal. I know we've talked about the lack of goals today, but it does need a goal. We had one disallowed in the first half, but since then we've not really had many goal-mouth incidents.
No. It's the Everton game plan, but if they get something out of this, you know, that's in the position that they're in, I think you'd have to say that would be a good point or more. There's Trossard, though, running from inside his own half, suddenly bringing a bit of life to proceedings. Halfway inside the Everton territory, uses Vieira on the left-hand side. And then back to Zinchenko. But the pace drops again. Everton drop back into position. Zinchenko gives it to Declan Rice. Rice now, low pass to Saka. Saka controlling, he's on his left foot. Back to Declan Rice again, now back out to White on the right-hand side. Arsenal with Saka curling it in, left-footed towards the back post. Trossard heads it across, hooked away by Tarkowski and then cleared further away by Ashley Young. All in a tight area in there, but well defended by Tarkowski.
Does really well, Tarkowski. Trossard finds himself free at the far post. He can't get a clear header on goal. He goes to head it back across the goal. Tarkowski doesn't know that Pickford's called and he just gets across in front of him. But the move that led to that goal, it sums up Arsenal's play today. They had really good possession down the left-hand side with Trossard. Instead of driving into the box or putting a cross in, he chooses to turn out and play it 20 yards backwards to Zinchenko, and the move stops.
Our colleague Phil McNulty, the BBC's chief football writer, is here today. Here's Vieira on the left-hand side. Vieira wins a throw-in on the left-hand side, and Phil has rather wittily said, a little post just before half-time, he said, Everton's game plan appears to be to lure Arsenal into a dreadful game, and in the last few minutes there are signs they might be getting there. It's not very good. But Arsenal, it's the old story. It's up to them to try and find the craft, imagination and quality to find a way through. I think losing Martinelli was a blow, but Trossard's come on, and very, very talented player. But Everton so quickly dropped back into position, dropped back into their roles, just so well drilled by Sean Dyche.
And we saw Sheffield United do it against Manchester City this season. I think Manchester City had over 80% possession at points in that game, and their game plan, Sheffield United, was to be low block, resilient, hard to break down, hard to beat. And Arsenal, Manchester City, they're going to have to find the answer this season. They're going to have to find the key to the door, because other managers watching this game who are scouting, who will be playing Arsenal in a couple of weeks, will say, OK, they struggle to break teams down. Let's sit deep and make it hard for them to get through us.
Yeah, next team that Arsenal play in the Premier League, none other than Tottenham, next Sunday, which is a 5 live commentary match. And I promise you, will not be like this. Saka, infield towards Rice. Rice, now to the right-hand side, to White. And then back to Rice again, who goes towards the halfway line. You'll be able to read Phil's match report, by the way, on the BBC website. Watch the action on Match of the Day too tonight. I bet you can't wait. Trossard into the penalty area. Gets to the byline. Ball across. Past Pickford. Cleared away in the middle by the defender who is in there. Mykolenko is on the line. McNeil as well. But actually, the offside flag was up. And if that had ended up in the back of the net, it wouldn't have counted.
Comes to nothing, but Mykolenko wasn't to know that. He gets back, and what his goalkeeper does, he dives, tries to intercept the cross, but Mykolenko gets in behind him, and he makes a great block on the line. He saves his team a certain goal, but we're used to seeing the assistant referees put the flag up a little bit later.
Yeah, well worked, well played by Mykolenko. So it is still Everton 0, Arsenal 0. So goal kick that Pickford will take. Jordan Pickford on his left foot, and that's beyond everyone in a blue shirt. Groans, more groans from the home supporters, as Gabriel is going to allow it to dribble over the dead ball line for a goal kick. So Raya will take this for Arsenal. For those who weren't listening earlier, with Aaron Ramsdale left out, Paul Robinson telling us you're in exactly the same situation as Ramsdale is today, back in your Tottenham days, We'll see this Arsenal attack to see what happens here before we come back to that. But White goes back into his own half and then receives it back from Saliba. And now Saka has got Everton men either side of him. Physical challenge from Doucouré. Down goes Saka, and it's another free kick to Arsenal on the right-hand side. Yes, it was Wanda Ramos, wasn't it, who broke the news to you that you were not in the Tottenham team?
Yeah, I was slightly different to Aaron Ramsdale. I wasn't playing particularly well at the time. The Croatia incident, when the ball bobbled over my foot for England, had knocked my confidence, and it affected the way that I was playing at club level as well. So I was kind of in and out of the team at the time, and he'd choose to play me certain games. But then when he did pull me out of the team, it was hard. And even though, listen, Aaron Ramsdale, it's even harder for him because he's not put a foot wrong this season. Yeah. He played for his country midweek. He was England's number 1 against Scotland.
Rice has won it back. Now the ball's played through to Nketiah in the area, but Tarkowski does really well. Well, that was almost the first slit Everton have made, to actually lose possession in that area, but they defended it brilliantly, Tarkowski.
Nketiah does really, really well there. Just sits on Tarkowski's left shoulder, rolls him into the box. He knows that Tarkowski can't touch him, but he just times the tackle well, gets a great block in between him and the goalkeeper.
So it's a corner for Arsenal from the right-hand side, and Saka waiting to take this. So again, it's the usual routine that we saw in the first half. Arsenal with 3, 4, 5 players, 6 players grouped together on the far side of the penalty area, and Saka raises his right arm. Saka then with the delivery from the corner, but that's headed up and away by Branthwaite. Comes out, fired back in by Zinchenko, took a deflection off an Everton shirt, says referee Hooper, and there's a low 5 there. Actually, Pickford comes across and gives Branthwaite a low 5 for that header away.
Well, they'll be quite happy defending set plays if Arsenal keep putting it in the box. Everton are good at set plays, attacking wise, and you would expect Arsenal to be more creative, to be playing short corners, but they've put every single corner that they've put into the box. They've clearly worked on the set plays.
Everton have got all of their men in possession inside the box. Corner's taken short this time by Saka to Trossard. Saka makes a run, but Trossard plays it back to Zinchenko. Left foot shot deflected up and over and wide, and Arsenal are saying that that's struck an arm. Now it's round about the edge of the penalty area. Was it in the box? And the referee now is consulting VAR. Well, Arsenal are the Arsenal players are making it look as though they feel that they've got a very good case for a penalty for handball, but the question is, it struck Tarkowski, Paul, and actually I think it might have been outside of the penalty area.
Yeah, the ball's rolled across to Zinchenko, hits it first time, hits it with some real force and venom like we've seen him doing previously. Tarkowski throws himself at the ball, but is in real close vicinity. It does seem to strike the underside of his arm, but I think at first glance at the picture he does look to be outside the box.
Outside the box, as close to the line, but also the arm was not fully outstretched. I think it was close enough to the body for, had it been in the penalty area, for it not to be given as a handball. So play continues. Everton 0, Arsenal 0. Arsenal corner as a result of that deflection wide from Tarkowski. Back to Zinchenko, he hits the shot. Tarkowski blocks that with his head, heads it away. Then Vieira now on the left-hand side. Vieira clips it in towards the back post. Branthwaite's underneath that. He got his head to it, and Pickford was able to move out of the penalty area, out of the 6-yard box to his left, and grab it, and then overarm it out for the run to the halfway line by Doucouré. Arsenal defenders coming back. This is a rare foray forward by Everton, but the groans because they've gone back into their own half.
I think they just realised we shouldn't be this far up the pitch. We're out of position, we need to regroup.
What are we doing here? Retreat. So that's what they've done, and Onana goes back into his own half. Tarkowski and Branthwaite coming into their own, Paul. Some real, as they used to say, muck and nettles defending as Onana plays it forward, but Saliba tidies that up. Immediate pass out from goalkeeper Raya, and then Ben White being put under pressure, being fouled by Nikolenko in a free kick to Arsenal in their own right back position. They're not very happy about that up in the stand around us, but I think that was a foul on a free kick to Arsenal. Still 0-0. By the way, going back to Wanda Ramos, did he actually, was it one-to-one quiet conversation, told you the news?
It was difficult with Wanda. Wanda could speak English and understand when he wanted to, but when he didn't, there was a clear language barrier. So I think it was a case of flipping the team sheet over and I wasn't in it. Me going to knock on his door that was pretty tightly, firmly shut. And when I did speak to him, he didn't really get what I was trying to ask him and what I needed to do.
Sort of you thumbs down.
Yeah, you're not playing today, son. Off you go.
Right, there we go.
But I didn't take it particularly well. But actually, and it's a difficult situation to be in.
Of course it is.
As a number one, as your confidence is hit, your status in the dressing room is hit, and you don't realise at times. Sometimes you need to be taken out because you can't see the wood for the trees. Your initial thought as a professional is, I want to work hard on the training ground, I want to keep working, I'll stay a bit longer today, I'll do a bit more, I want to keep playing, I want to get out of it. When actually sometimes you need somebody to go, come on, you need to take a rest. But actually with Aaron Ramsdale, that's not the situation because the lad's playing really well.
Anyway, David Raya had little or nothing to do as Arsenal play the ball forward, but will bounce all the way through for a goal kick. But that's one of the things to listen out for later. Is in 6:06, it'll be around about that time, we will hear live, we hope, from Mikel Arteta. So he will explain all about what his plans are, what his thinking is for the goalkeeping position with Arsenal. And by the way, the live sport doesn't end there tonight. Australia, Fiji at the moment, but England, Japan live from Nice from 8 o'clock tonight. 5 Live, the place to hear it. And Everton are going to make a double change, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin is going to come on, you would assume, to replace the home debutant Beto.
Well, he's had a pretty thankless task up there today, hasn't he? He's not had much. He hasn't had much chance. Most of his job today has been chasing lost causes and trying to close down.
Yeah, and Beto actually helps his team to win a free kick, playing the ball back to Idrissa Gueye, who was fouled from behind, and Everton have a free kick forward of the centre circle. So Gabriel Jesus is going to come on for Arsenal. So you would think that actually they're both going to change their centre forwards, with Eddie Nketiah, who's been quietish, I have to say. But Everton have defended so well against Arsenal in general, and Nketiah in particular. He's the unfortunate man, of course, who was called offside when Arsenal got the ball in the net in the first half. Still 0-0. 5 Live in the World Service from the BBC. So this free kick to Everton then. 5 or 6 yards forward of the centre circle. Ashley Young waiting to take it, although McNeil might do so. Young, though, it is. Young playing it forward into the box towards the penalty spot. It's headed out by Arsenal, headed back in by Mykolenko for Everton, and then cleared away by Saka near the edge of his own penalty area. Controlled by Mykolenko. The referee stopped play because there's another player down. Another Arsenal player down is Gabriel with another knock to the head, and therefore the referee has to stop play.
It's quite inconspicuous one, really. He has taken a knock to the head, but it was Tarkowski who went up for a header and he got tripped by another Arsenal player, and as he falls he drags his boots over Gabriel's head. You can see the connection.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. So, yeah, and the referee saw it. We can see on the replay that the referee had a view of that, so had no option. So he's been looked at. In fact, I don't think the medical people are going to come on. That's deemed not necessary, and whether we're going to see these changes now, it's not entirely clear. Anthony Taylor has got the electronic board there. All of the various players have come to the side of the pitch down here, and we are now going to see the changes.
Well, that's one thing that really interests me of recent weeks. The players almost know it's like a time-out for a basketball team. As soon as a player goes down injured, the rest of the players gather around the manager. They all seem to run to the edge of the pitch, and it's like the managers are using these injuries, these stoppages in play, as extra time-outs within the game.
So Gabriel Jesus is on for Eddie Nketiah, who's away with England, of course, didn't get onto the pitch for his first cap. But there's the applause from Beto after his home debut, his third appearance for Everton. He's not been able to get on the score sheet today in the way that he did on his debut against Doncaster Rovers in the Carabao Cup, which was an important goal for Everton. But generally, Beto with Dominic Calvert-Lewin coming on with a face mask, incidentally. Calvert-Lewin immediately into the action as Pickford fires it forward to him. And now Doucouré to the left-hand side. Mykolenko challenged by Saka. Ball runs out of play, given as a throw-in to Everton. Beto, Paul?
Is something that they haven't had, a direct replacement for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. We spoke so often about Everton's lack of goals and the lack of opportunities to score goals, and without Calvert-Lewin they haven't looked like a goal threat, and we know that they haven't today because they're playing against Arsenal. But with Beto, it gives them another option if Calvert-Lewin isn't fit, and if Sean can find a way that they can both play together in some games.
Throw-in taken by Everton. Doucouré misses his kick on the edge of the area, but it bounces to Danjuma. It's sat up for him. He went for it on the volley, but volleyed it over the top, and it remains Everton 0, Arsenal 0. Let's get another update from Claire Thomas. What's happening in the Australia-Fiji game at the Rugby Union World Cup?
Plenty is happening. We're just moments into the second half and Fiji have extended their lead in what is a must-win clash for the Pacific Islanders. They're now up 19 points to 8 thanks to a brilliant score from Joshua Tuisova, an athlete who's about 50% calves and the rest dynamite. He was quickest to react to a loose ball and flew clear into the corner. So it's 45 minutes gone in Saint Etienne and Australia trail Fiji 8 points to 19.
So things not going the way of Eddie Jones and Australia. 0-0 here at Goodison Park, and Bukayo Saka winning a corner after he initially got past Mykolenko, but again Mykolenko got back at him and was able to deflect it behind. So it's a corner that Arsenal, I think, might take short. Will they? Odegaard is there. Saka's stepped off the pitch to take this. They do take it short. Odegaard takes it on, left-footed ball clipped in towards the back post. It's headed down, but with no pace, no power. Gabriel Jesus, I think he had his back to goal at the time, and it just came off his head, bounced down, and Pickford was able to pick it up and clear it away. We've got a quarter of the match to go. Still Everton 0, Arsenal 0. The classic match of few chances. Here's Saka receiving it from Zinchenko from the centre circle. Saka running at Mykolenko again, and then in comes a sliding challenge from Onana, timed perfectly to put it behind for another corner.
They've done that so well today of Everton. Gay and Onana protecting that back four. When Mykolenko gets isolated one-on-one with Saka, it's either Onana or Gay that gets across, doubles up on him, and if on the odd occasion where Saka has got past Mykolenko, he finds one of the two holding midfielders there.
Corner then, another corner in front of the Park stand. That's the stand that has the letters of Goodison in blue right across the top of the roof that you can see from miles around. Corner then, and the ball is in the quadrant, tapped by Saka to Odegaard, and Odegaard runs at McNeil but then plays it back to the edge of the box to Vieira. Vieira back to Zinchenko, now to the right hand side to Odegaard, back to Saka who angles it back, and the shot is in! Trossard is there, left-footed cross goal, in off the far post, and Arsenal now do find the breakthrough here at Goodison, and again for Everton, 1-0 down here on their home turf. Everton 0, Arsenal 1.
They've finally unlocked the door, this Arsenal team. They've been knocking and knocking with all the possession. We spoke about the set plays, just putting it in the box. It's been easy for Everton to defend. Odegaard and Saka take these set plays short. It's worked to the edge of the box and it comes back into Saka, who took the corner, and he finds Trossard with a great cutback, who opens his left foot up 12 yards out on the angle, just inside Jordan Pickford's far post. A great finish by Trossard on his left peg, but it's just that little bit of creativity that Arsenal have been missing. They work a really well short corner, comes back into the middle, and Saka, great vision to pick out Trossard.
That's what they've been trying to do. Lovely little flick, wasn't it, by Saka? A clever flick with a pass back into the path of Trossard, and I mean it's been so little space inside the penalty area, but there, I suppose in some ways it was inevitable. At some point they would find it, and there they did.
Yeah, Everton defended resolutely, and that's been their game plan. And we said about the corners, Arsenal just kept on putting it into the box. The height advantage that Everton had, the defenders they had in the box, they were defending them comfortably. In this second half they've played short, they've been more creative, and it's worked for them.
So 1-0 to Arsenal. David Raya's out of his penalty area on the far side. It bounced up and he was able to recover and headed out of play for a throw into Everton. He'll have to come out now. 20 minutes to go. 1-0 down, just as in every home game this season. Odegaard with the ball on the edge of his own box goes back, and Arsenal have it in their own defensive third. So it's back to the Davis Cup in Manchester, and Russell Fuller we go.
Great Britain are set away from the quarter-finals. 3 games all deciding set between Cameron Norrie and Hugo Humbert. The Frenchman saved a break point in his previous service game. Very tight in this deciding set. If Norrie loses, Britain will need to win the doubles to qualify for Malaga, John.
Thank you, Russell. Everton 0, Arsenal 1. Lines are open for 6:06. By the way, an hour of 6:06 tonight with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton on 5 Live. 08085 909 693 to ring and book your call about the weekend's action. I'm sure there's still plenty to say about Manchester United if you want to discuss that, having thought about yesterday's events. Manchester United, that'll be our commentary match live from Munich on Wednesday night. Commentary matches: Milan, Newcastle, Manchester City against Red Star Belgrade as the holders begin their defence and then Bayern Munich, Manchester United on Wednesday as Arsenal play against PSV. Long ball from Pickford. Mykolenko on the stretch, he's done well, but the cover is there for Arsenal. Saliba put in the challenge, but it's bounced behind, and this is the cheer for Everton winning their first corner of the match. Thankful for small mercies.
It was a great ball by Jordan Pickford, it really was. Talked about the distribution from Raya at the other end, but that wasn't just a long punt downfield, it was a constructed pass to Mykolenko. Mykolenko saw the space in behind, and Pickford dropped it on a sixpence at the edge of the box. It was touch let him down to start with, but then he managed to win the corner.
Branthwaite standing in front of David Raya. Ashley Young with a delivery. No, easy catch from Raya, who just came to the edge of his 6-yard box. He's pointing as well as an Arsenal player who's gone down there buffeted. And I think that has been, it's Odegaard who's just taken a knock in there, and the referee must have blown his whistle. Yep, he's going to start it with an uncontested drop ball. So Everton 0, Arsenal 1. But Arsenal, it's been one of their most difficult places to come in recent seasons, not winning the last 5 visits. I did check, by the way, I was listening earlier to 5 Live Sport, where it was said that the last 5 times Arsenal have been here, it's been a different Everton manager, and it is actually the case. After Marco Silva, caretaker Duncan Ferguson, Ancelotti, Benitez and Sean Dyche. So this, now Sean Dyche, his second game here against Everton. But they're winning 1-0, and it's the Arsenal supporters you can hear in the corner of Goodison Park waving their Arsenal flags, clapping above their heads as Arsenal bring it to the halfway line, played in towards Vieira and then back into their own half. Now it's an exercise in control for Arsenal to hold what they have, or indeed increase the lead as Everton have to come out. Saka into Odegaard, and the Norwegian slips it forward to Ben White, who's got space now to the byline. Ben White chips it across, Vieira hooks it goalwards, but down into the ground and wide of the back post.
Should do better there, Vieira. Ben White does really, really well, gets in behind, gets to the byline, lifts it to the far post, and Vieira's got acres of space, there's nobody around him, chooses to take the volley on first time, he miskicks it and hits it into the ground. Just an example there, Everton just pushing far too far up. It's a really good ball by Ben White, and Vieira really should do much better. He's got Trossard behind him as well.
Arsenal win it back, Saka dispossessed Mykolenko. Odegaard now, blue shirts all around him, tried to prod it through to the penalty area, but it was blocked on the edge of the box by Idrissa Gueye. And now Everton play it forward, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Everton need to get him into the game, but surrounded by Arsenal players on the halfway line, couldn't find a teammate, and Arsenal had it back.
Well, this is where you look to the manager and you look at Everton and you say, go on then, what's your plan B? You've had plan A, you've tried to stay in the game, you've gone a goal down, there's 25 minutes of normal time left. How do you change this? How do you look more attacking? How do you threaten Arsenal? They haven't managed to do that in 2 previous home games that they've lost 1-0, but still they seem to drop off deep. They're allowing Arsenal possession, and it looks like they're trying to stay in the game and nick it with a set play, get back in the game somehow. It's you look at this and you go, okay, how are you going to change from the style that you played? And they haven't done it yet at home.
That's Paul Robinson, England goalkeeper. We're watching Everton 0, Arsenal 1, 5 Live on the World Service. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, just his second appearance of the season, this, having made just 15 starts last season. You know, he's so important, pivotal, you could say, to Everton's hopes. They need him fit and scoring. But at the moment, Arsenal are just knocking the ball around him on the edge of their own penalty area. Zinchenko then pops it out to the left-hand side. Long pass through the middle. Gabriel Jesus chests that down. He's into the D. He's into the area. But he is well challenged by the recovering Mykolenko. Branthwaite was there as well, and it seemed that it was going to open up for Gabriel Jesus, but not so. And now Everton send a long pass forward, and actually the game is threatening to open up into a proper contest. Danjuma with it in the full-back position, back to the edge of the box. Idrissa Gueye controls but shoots wildly, and it actually hits the front of the top tier of the Gladys Street stand.
But it's intent from Everton. They are going forward, they are pressing, which give the opportunity for Gabriel Jesus. It was one long ball, he just pulled off the shoulder of Branthwaite in between him and Mykolenko, chests it down and you think he's in, but the player of the match for Everton, Mykolenko, gets back in. He manages to muscle Gabriel Jesus off the ball and win possession back for Everton. Does really well.
Yeah, he's been a good choice, hasn't he, by Sean Dyche. Mikalenko against Saka. He's enjoyed the challenge.
I think maybe it was on the back of the international break, when he played against him for England, did well against him, knows the player, recently played against him. I suspect that was behind the thinking.
1-0 Arsenal lead. 606 on the way. You can get in touch on the text 85058 #BBC 606. Arsenal coming forward, they find Odegaard into the area, on his right foot, down goes Pickford to make the save. It comes out though to Vieira, he shoots and that is blocked by Mikalenko, who threw himself right into the path of the shot and deflected the ball wide and behind into the park stand.
What a brilliant block by Mikalenko. One-on-one with Odegaard with Pickford. Pickford makes a decent save, but he pushes it into an area straight to Vieira. Got a clear shot on goal, but then all of a sudden Mikalenko throws his body across in front of the ball, stops a certain goal. But like you say, John, this is opening up a little bit now. Everton are having to push forward a little bit. The full-backs are pushing on, and they're already starting to look a little bit ragged and vulnerable at the back.
Corner then to Arsenal. They scored from a short corner. The opening goal, Leandro Trossard's opening goal. And this is taken short as well in front of the couple of thousand of Arsenal fans in the two tiers there. And then it's played in by Vieira. Pickford comes, makes a punch, which carries the ball out towards the right-hand side. And Arsenal back in possession again. Rice back towards the halfway line. Sean Dyche in his white shirt, almost stepping onto the pitch there as he tries to give his team, his players, some more instructions and encouragement. Arsenal with it on the far side. Vieira, Gabriel's in there as well, and so is Ashley Young, and the ball is it's hammered into Gabriel, who's on the ground. Whether he'd been fouled, I think he had. Yes, it is. It's a free kick to Arsenal, 7 or 8 yards inside the Everton territory. So Arsenal, Gabriel Jesus, I thought he might have been in there, but Everton's defence stood up strong to him there. And again, Mikalenko in the last two Arsenal attacks yet again has caught the eye. Arsenal playing the ball back to the edge of the area. Arsenal going to make another couple of changes in a moment. Tomiyasu is going to come on, and Kai Havertz as well, so double change for Arsenal coming up. Long ball over the top for Trossard. Pickford's come a long way, chests it away in front of the Arsenal man, who did look as though he was offside, and there is the flag. So we'll see a couple of changes for Arsenal. I mean, a 1-0 win for Arsenal here. I think Mikel Arteta will be a very, very happy man.
It's not been a happy hunting ground for them recently, has it? Especially in recent years. It's always been a difficult place for them to come. They found it hard to play against Everton here. But they've controlled the game today, in all honesty. Yes, they haven't been as clinical as he would have liked them to have been in the final third. But at this point now for them, it's about game management. It's about seeing this game out. It's not about pushing on and trying to win it 2 or 3. A 1-0 win here is just as good as 2 or 3. You get the same amount of points for it. They can't afford to take chances. They can't afford to give Everton set plays.
So Kai Havertz comes on for Vieira, so that's a straight swap. And Tomiyasu coming on for Zinchenko, who leaves the pitch on the far side. Zinchenko is just going to be applauded as he walks in front of the Arsenal fans over there, having started both of the matches for Ukraine that they played. And also James Garner coming on to replace Doucouré. So Garner comes on for Everton. Not surprised Zinchenko, he was involved in that match last weekend, which was, to be there in the stadium, Ukraine playing in front of 40,000 Ukrainians, even though it was in Poland, was a really emotional occasion. And so he is off, Tomiyasu is on, and it is still 1-0 to Arsenal. Lines open for 606. To book your call, 08 085 909 693. Ashley Young, long and forward from him, up towards Calvert-Lewin, who leaps for it but doesn't get a touch. And it bounces through for David Raya.
Just looking out, it looks like there might be a slight change in shape from Everton. They'll go a bit more direct. James Garner's gone out to the right. Dwight McNeil's come over to this side on the left. And Danjuma's now actually alongside Calvert-Lewin.
Yep, so Everton, Sean Dyche chasing the game. Arsenal, though, in possession. 10 minutes to go, less than 10 minutes to go. Rice over to the left-hand side, and then Trossard. Last we heard, Fiji were winning against Australia, as Rice clears it away again. Another Arsenal attack doesn't come to anything. Trossard now to Saka. Saka weaving his way between two Everton men, little nudge on him, but the pass in any case was overhit. And Branthwaite back to Mikalenko to clear. Branthwaite's got to be careful, but he's fouled by Jesus, and it's a free kick to Everton. Australia 8, Fiji 19 is the latest score. That is on Sports Extra. And Zinchenko just arrives over here in the dugouts and gets a little pat on the back from Mikel Arteta.
It's quiet, isn't it, John? There's a few Everton fans making their way for the exit, apart from the Arsenal fans over there in the corner. Since the Arsenal goal, it's really quiet here in Goodison.
Yeah, one or two people said to me in the build-up to this match, well, what will it be like, with Everton, this potential change of ownership? And my feeling was, this is not like when Newcastle were taken over by the Saudi Arabian investment, and things were going to dramatically change. It's had little effect. You wouldn't know. If you'd come to the match today, you wouldn't know. I think it's just quiet conversations between Everton supporters about what it might mean somewhere down the line. I
think there's a lot of scepticism, isn't there? And I think there's that old phrase, be careful what you wish for, because you might just get it. I mean, you do feel for the Everton fans. I mean, for a long time they've wanted a change of ownership here. There's been issues off the field with the fans and the board, and then when the potential of a takeover does come, it's not the ideal solution what they were looking for. I mean, we heard the Everton fans before the game, there was nobody really upbeat and positive about the potential news.
Yeah, Farhad Moshiri's not been here to Goodison Park to watch a match for nearly 2 years. Arsenal leading 1-0, but conceding a free kick. James Garner fouled, so a free kick to Everton. Well, it's a set-piece situation, so Branthwaite is going to be sent forward, Tarkowski as well. I mean, it's inside the Everton half, so it's a Jordan Pickford launch, this. That's what they're going to do. But this is what they've been clinging their hopes to, really. Opportunities like this. Pickford points downfield. Pickford then raises both arms to the skies. Left-footed from the Everton goalkeeper, long into the area. It is headed forward by Tarkowski. The ball bouncing down inside the penalty area, but a stretch and a clearance from the goal scorer Trossard. And then Mikalenko has to win the header against Gabriel Jesus. Ashley Young is able to get to it first. He was caught late there, but Everton continue the attack. But the ball in from the right from Garner is deflected through to David Raya.
Yeah, the referee played an advantage there because Ashley Young was caught, but the advantage to Everton would be to give him a free kick halfway inside the Arsenal half, so they could load the box up and put the set play into the box. That would have been the advantage. They don't want the ball in possession down the right wing with the opportunity to try and play. They want opportunities to put the crosses into the box and try and get goals.
So Arsenal start again from the back with 6 minutes to play. 1-0 their lead through Trossard's second goal of the season, scored that late equaliser against Manchester City in the Community Shield. This one is first in the Premier League, having come on as a substitute for Martinelli in the first half. We'll have to hear as well how Martinelli is ahead of the Champions League on Wednesday night for Arsenal. Ball played forward towards Rice, who then goes back into the full-back position. I know Newcastle United are off tomorrow to Milan. Likewise, our commentary team, Ian Dennis and Pat Nevin, after Milan were beaten 5-1 by Inter last night. What a build-up that was to the Champions League for them. Odegaard giving it to Saka, now infield to White, and then square across the pitch. And Havertz into the action for the first time in his black boots, gets it back, crosses it right across the face of goal, stays in play. No, it didn't. It drifted behind before it curled back in. Goal kick to Everton into the last 5 minutes. Time very quickly running out for Sean Dyche's team.
It is, and they'll be looking to play the ball longer now. We've seen Calvert-Lewin up there, Danjuma alongside him, and they've got a goal kick now, and we're seeing something that we don't see very often in football matches. The goalkeeper's going to put it down on the 6-yard line and kick it down the field as far as he can.
Yeah, used to be a common sight, didn't it, when you and I were growing up at different times?
That's what we were told to do as goalkeepers. Yeah, exactly. Some of the stuff they do nowadays, I'm sure I'd have got subbed by a manager if I attempted some of them.
Calvert-Lewin heads on that Pickford goal kick halfway inside the Arsenal half, but Arsenal deal with it. Gabriel Jesus is claiming that he was fouled on the far side by Tarkowski, but referee Hooper's having none of that. And then Pickford goes for another launch downfield. Calvert-Lewin challenging against Gabriel. It bounces down for Arsenal. Trossard to Rice on the edge of his own D, who actually just lifts it away back to Everton. And now with Garner, and he loses out, and Everton have to take up possession again inside their own half, and actually the referee spotted a foul on Tarkowski near the halfway line that he's brought back for an indiscretion by, I think, Gabriel Jesus. So a free kick to Everton, so this is a little further forward. Nathan Patterson, who was left out today, is going to come on, and also Yusuf Chermiti, the young Portuguese forward, is going to be sent on by Sean Dyche for the final minutes of this game. Just over 4 minutes to play, and actually the changes will be made now. So Ashley Young is off and Patterson comes on for him, the Scotland international. And the other change, Chermiti, just waiting to see what Anthony Taylor's going to do, and it is Dwight McNeil who is off after his first start of the season, and he will leave the pitch on the far side. So Chermiti comes on. Yusuf Chermiti, just his third appearance for Everton, the 19-year-old. It'd be quite a story as he's cheered onto the field if he's able to get the first goal of the season for Everton here at their home ground.
Seems to have a real presence as well, doesn't he? Said about Beto having a presence, and we can see what Everton are doing now. Jordan Pickford, the goalkeeper. This free kick's inside the Arsenal half. The goalkeeper's on it, and everybody bar Mikalenko is in the box.
Free kick then from Pickford. Raya comes a long way, and in amongst a crowd of players. He wasn't able to take the ball clearly, but he was leaping high above them, and referee Hooper says that he was illegally challenged, and it's a free kick to Arsenal inside his own penalty area.
Yeah, they're always going to get free kicks like that, those goalkeepers, aren't they? I think Tarkowski was challenging with Declan Rice. Raya goes up, and I think it's a mixture of Tarkowski and Declan Rice that actually catch him. But it's Tarkowski that's just leaned into Rice and pushed him into Raya.
I think that was more of a foul than there was on Mark Flecken of Brentford yesterday when Callum Wilson put the ball in the net. But Everton 0, Arsenal 1, and the way this is shaping up, David Raya coming in for his debut is just a few minutes away from a clean sheet on his Arsenal debut, having been selected ahead of Aaron Ramsdale. That's certainly a talking point for 606 on 08085 909 693. Ball played forward for Arsenal. Gabriel Jesus tangling with Branthwaite and couldn't get a clean ball across. Pickford came forward. Pickford launches another one high downfield, won by the head of Calvert-Lewin, but David Raya is quickly out and able to scoop that up easily before Chermiti got there.
I don't think Dominic Calvert-Lewin's going to thank Pickford for all these long high balls at the end of the game, is he? Having wearing a face mask. This is his first game back. He's got a tough task up there as Dominic Calvert-Lewin. They really are going long and direct now.
And really, when you look at it, Paul, I mean, Everton have not forced him to make a save in the match, and when you've not scored in nearly 3 home matches, there's 4 minutes going to be added on at the end of this match. You know, I know it's Arsenal today, it's one of the best teams in the Premier League, but Everton simply have to be more creative here on their home ground.
Like we said before, John, I said, you know, if they lose twice in a season against Arsenal, it's no disgrace. They've shown a lot of quality today.
Ball's been given away though by Arsenal. Patterson to Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin stabs it across, but couldn't find Chermiti, and the ball just runs away behind for a goal kick. It was tough for Calvert-Lewin, quick footwork from him, but Everton not able to seize the moment.
But yet another example of their bluntness in the final third. I was saying about the playing against Arsenal twice. It's the home games against Wolves and Fulham. It's not a one-off, the statistic about them not scoring or creating chances. They haven't done it in 2 previous home games against so-called lesser teams. You would expect them to at least get chances and probably get points from the game.
That's an interesting one. Anthony Taylor, the gasps of horror are for the fact that 4 minutes have been shown. Only 4 minutes. Sean Dyche stood with his palms apart. Anthony Taylor down there actually showed a notebook to him, which I presume has got all of the times added on, which I'm quite surprised by.
Well, it shows you in a short space of time of where we've come to. I mean, this time last season 4 was quite a lengthy time added on. Now 10.
Chermiti almost manages to nip the ball off Gabriel on the edge of the Arsenal box, and then it's challenged for on the far side by James Garner, and Sean Dyche is continuing to talk away to Anthony Taylor, who gets the notebook out again and says, here Sean,
he's showing him.
Have a look, here we go.
He's like, look, Aston Villa had 12 yesterday, Tottenham had 11, I've only got 4, and he's still going at him.
Yeah, still talking away. Anthony Taylor chatting back to him. Anthony Taylor, who was refereeing the Germany-France friendly in midweek when Rudi Voller was in charge. Ball's out of play on the far side in amongst the Everton supporters. I noticed one or two gaps appearing. Some of them obviously trying to beat the traffic, trying to get away, but maybe thinking yet again, Everton aren't going to give us a goal here. As Tarkowski goes down after a collision down in the right back position, and then the ball bounces out of play. Kai Havertz was there as well. It's all in front of the Arsenal fans, and Gabriel Jesus having stayed down. I think it's been given as a free kick for perhaps Tarkowski's initial challenge on Gabriel Jesus. But this is into added time. The Arsenal fans celebrating. They've not come here and seen their team win for 6 years, and they're closing in on it. The second half goal from Leandro Trossard. So a free kick for Arsenal in the Everton defensive third. Odegaard just taps it short. Gabriel Jesus takes it towards the corner flag. I'm not sure. Yes, he did. He kept it in. There are so many bodies in there in the right back position, and eventually Everton played up towards Calvert-Lewin. He's not got a teammate within 30 yards of him. Calvert-Lewin controls it, takes it out towards the far side. Havertz comes in with a challenge, and the final touch, says referee Hooper, was off Calvert-Lewin, and it's a throw-in to Arsenal, who are, as they say, Paul, managing the game.
They've done well. Listen, they've had the lion's share of possession. We spoke all game about them trying to find a way through. They found a way through, and then they've managed the game until the end. It's not been a game where they've swept Everton aside. They've found it difficult to break them down, but they're looking like that they've got the job done, and it's a sign of a good team when you win games and you don't play particularly well.
Arsenal again in possession. Saka wins the throw-in from Mikalenko's challenge. So Everton will stay in the relegation zone. Burnley play tomorrow night at Nottingham Forest, by the way. There's news of that on 5 Live tomorrow night during the Monday Night Club, 7 o'clock, 5 Live Sport. Throw-in taken by White for Arsenal towards the dead ball line. Gabriel Jesus says that should be a corner. The officials aren't sure. It was a challenge at close quarters, and they say yes, corner. So a corner for Arsenal from the right-hand side. Going to be taken short. Latest, by the way, Australia 8, Fiji 22. Fiji have increased their lead in the Rugby Union World Cup match that you can hear on Sports Extra. Arsenal take the short corner and almost inevitably win another one with 2 Everton players in there as well. Eventually a Stewart actually picks the ball up and throws it to Arsenal. I make it we've had 4 minutes of added time. I think this is going to be it. It's a scrappy end to a scrappy game that Arsenal have won with that Trossard goal. Corner is taken. Jesus crosses it into the area, rather surprisingly. It's chested back to Pickford, but there it is. There's the final whistle. There are the boos from the crowd at Goodison Park. Sean Dyche, nevertheless, after shaking hands with Mikel Arteta, turns and applauds actually to the stands of Goodison Park. But I'm afraid it's a sorry story for Everton. They've lost all 3 at Goodison Park this season by 1-0. They're still looking for their first Premier League win of the season after 5 matches, and all 3 matches here have finished 1-0 to the opposition, 1-0 to the Arsenal. Paul Robinson.
And thoroughly deserved. You know, Everton really didn't offer a lot today, and they haven't done at home all season. In fact, they haven't done anywhere this season. It's worrying for them, the lack of opportunities they're having in the final third. Arsenal dominated possession today in the first half. They could have gone in at half-time, 1-up with a goal that they had disallowed. The possession they had, it was all in front of Everton. They just lacked that cutting edge, that little bit of creativity, the key for the door, if you like. And when they did get that in the second half with Saka and Trossard, when they combined, they managed through the game. The sign of a good team. They win a game when they're not playing particularly well, and that was today. They got the job done. It was going to be difficult. They haven't got a good record here, yet they've put in a decent performance without playing particularly well. They've got the goal, they've got the 1-0 win. And it's 3 points, whether you win 2, 3, 4-0, 1-0, still the same amount of points.
4 wins out of 5 for Arsenal this season. They joined Tottenham and Liverpool on 13 points. Really good win for them, their first here at Goodison for 6 years. But really, again, you know, my match notes in front of me tell the story. On the Everton side, nothing on target. Half a penalty shout in the first half, a couple of wafts, shots high over the bar in the second. Not good enough.
And do you know what, John? I think if that was an isolated incident against a quality team like Arsenal, it wouldn't be a problem. We wouldn't be talking about it. But it's not. It's happening week in, week out, and it's becoming a real problem for Everton. They've got a decent game plan. They sit deep. They're hard to break down. And in the first half, we saw that. But they haven't got anything other than that.
Paul Robinson, thank you very much for your company. So off Arsenal go to the Champions League in midweek, and Everton now, big games ahead, away to Brentford. That's a 5 Live commentary. Home to Luton and home to Bournemouth, the next 3 Premier League matches. And there you can hear the angry reaction from Everton fans to a final score of Everton 0, Arsenal 1.
We'll come back to Everton in a second, Paul, but one of the big issues with Arsenal last season, we all know it was depth. This afternoon, Martinelli has to go off, Trossard comes on, scores the winning goal. That's the difference for them.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the squad, you look at the additions that they've made. We all talk about the money that Chelsea have spent. Arsenal have spent a good few as well. I mean, but you look at the bench that they had today: Trossard, Jesus, Jorginho, Reece Nelson, Kai Havertz. They have players. Tomiyasu came on. They've got players now. They've not just got an 11 or 12. They have got a squad depth. It's going to be tested. Look, the Champions League starts this week, and I'm sure the manager's going to field questions about the goalkeeping situation after the game, and he'll answer the same answer to all the questions. We've got a lot of games. It's a long season. I want 2 players for every position. You know, that's what he'll say. He won't give you an honest answer, but that's what they're getting now, Arsenal. They're getting 2 players for every position.
There's just been a reminder in front of us of the issues that put these games, any games, into context as Mykolenko and Zinchenko, the 2 Ukrainian teammates, come together and hug each other in the centre of the pitch before heading down the touchline and into the tunnel. John, with Everton, at the minute, it's as simple as, if they don't keep a clean sheet, that's it. There'll be so many Everton players who'll wake up tomorrow having defended really, really bravely, covered in bruises from all manner of blocks, but they get nothing.
Just a lack of creativity, and I don't know how much you can judge it on this match when there was a clear game plan here against a very dangerous Arsenal team. But as I was suggesting there when I was running through the future fixtures, I'm going to see them next Saturday tea time against Brentford. Are they going to be able to do more against a team like Brentford? A very good team away from home, but then more significantly, Luton at home, Bournemouth at home. That's when they've got to show something for this crowd.
John, Paul, thank you very much indeed. John Murray and Paul Robinson inside Goodison Park, where Everton have been beaten by Arsenal by 1-0. The other game, of course, finished